Colorado Avalanche 10 years ago and got them to this point, and they bring him in. So I think that was, to me, that was such a big sigh of relief. And so far, I think he's hit a home run in every move.
It'll be interesting to see what is there for the Predators at number 10. I think, to me, that's the big story of the night, C-Mace. What goes down in front of the Preds, assuming they stay at number 10, which is what we're expecting, and what options are presented to them in a draft where I think there are really 12, 13, 14 players who you'd be happy with in that spot.
This is the challenge, and it's a good challenge because I feel when you look at last year's draft, and every year changes because it's not a strong draft, or it's top heavy where the top 5, 6 are really strong. This year, there's no, obviously Gavin McKenna is the guy everyone says is number 1, but I've heard a lot of things lately that Toronto might not take Gavin McKenna because there's so many strong defensemen in this draft. It's really defensive heavy. And I think, teams are, recognizing that you can't pass up the opportunity to get these kind of guys. There's guys like Viggo Bjork. He's a Swedish. He's a smaller guy, but he offers, a really unique skill set.
Well, Max is a smaller guy.
Max, yeah, exactly. And he offers a very unique skill set as well.
Yes, he does.
So I think in this draft, you're going to get a great player at 1. Obviously, you're going to get the top 5. You're going to get probably the upper echelon. But there's not that much of a drop-off from probably 5 to 13. So you're going to get a good player, and then it comes down. Everybody says best available. Well, what is the best available? What do you need in your organization? The Preds could use defenseman depth. They could also use another electric forward like a Riker Lee, who I think they hit a home run with, yet to be seen, obviously, but a player like that's got that game-breaking, ability. So Wyatt Cullen is another guy that is, in that, 8 to 12 kind of range, who I think would be a great player for the Preds to pick if he's available.
So Cullen is one of the forward options. So is Tynan Lawrence from Boston University. Ethan Belchez could be there from the Windsor Spitfires, who's going to Michigan State this year. For me, my eyes are on defensemen, and I think there are either 5 or 6 who are top 10 worthy. I'm anxious to see if one of those top 5 makes it to the Preds at 10.
You want Dax?
Chase Reed, I think, is definitely
He's
going
gone.
early. Keaton
Stenberg's
Fairhoff,
gone. Yeah.
Carson Carrolls,
Yeah.
Daxon Rudolph, and the wild card to me, who's played with the big boys. He played for Latvia, not just in the World Juniors, which is an accomplishment for a guy in his draft year, but played in the Olympics for Latvia. Albert Schmitz. Some mocks have him going as high as 4th. Some have him falling past the Preds. He's a big left-handed D-man who can do everything. I'm curious to see if one of those 5 defensemen gets there for the Preds at 10.
It's hard to, because this is the thing with when you're drafting this age group, is because they all play in different leagues. They all play against different competition. And you're talking about Smits, who's a guy that played in the Olympics, had a great 3 weeks. A really great, Latvia was a great story at the Olympics. The Olympics was the best hockey I've ever watched in a long time. So how do you evaluate that? And how do you evaluate an 18-year-old player who you could identify as somebody who's, hey, maybe he's not quite there yet, but you give him 2 or 3 years and he's going to be, here or whatever. But it is tough. But the good thing about this draft is you're going to end up with a good player, no matter what.
Yes.
At 10, for sure.
Yes. Without any question in that regard. Now, I was kind of looking at Daxon there quite a bit. I liked his descriptions. I liked, as Crispy was saying to me, he looks like a big, mean SOB.
Yes, he is. He's playing. He's a Western League, right?
Yeah.
So it's just so hard to differentiate and project these players because you're playing against all the different competition. If you play junior, playing against 16 to 20. If you play college, you're seeing now because they changed the NCAA rules that once a kid plays junior for a couple of years, they're a good player. Cameron Reed is one. They won the Memorial Cup this year. Our draft pick last year, which I think is a great pick. He was obviously instrumental in them winning. He's going to play college. He's going to Michigan State.
Cam Reed?
Yeah.
Michigan.
So he's going to Michigan. So he's going to go. That's where you go to the next level. You're playing against men. These European kids, they go play World Juniors. They maybe play Olympics if they're lucky enough on whatever year, but they're playing against the top professional men in those leagues.
Right.
And it's so hard to say this kid is playing in this environment, this kid, and to decide what player's actually going to be better, when it's all said and done. But
the junior to college thing really is, it's making it more difficult, I think, to judge guys.
It really is. But I think now as a player, if I had that option when I was a kid, I would have loved that because I was told, don't go to college. Your fastest path to the NHL is you play junior. Now these kids, get an option to play junior. They dominate. And they're not going to go necessarily dominate at the college level because you could be playing against a 25-year-old and you're 18 years old, or a 24-year-old, you're 18. You're playing less games. It's a different schedule.
The commissioner's getting booed already.
Here goes Gary Bettman.
Were those boos in Buffalo or boos at our watch party?
The only people cheering for him in the building is the owners.
Yes.
He's
for good reason.
I'm kidding, though. He's done a great job with the league.
Who are these characters on stage with him? Should I recognize these people?
I can't see with the lamps hanging
NHL
down.
doesn't quite do it like other leagues. They got celebrities, but I'm not up on the
For a while there, I thought that was the Grim Reaper.
Stu Grimson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were tweets today that a major A-list celebrity Leafs fan would be announcing the first overall pick.
Well, we thought it was Drake.
I thought Justin Bieber.
Oh, well, he's a Winnipeg. Well,
yeah.
I shouldn't say that. I met him in Winnipeg, actually. And funny story.
Mason,
Mark Scheifele.
You dropped something.
Did I drop something? Oh, name drop? Name drop.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to do it. But Mark Scheifele was a rookie, and he's like, would you ask Justin to take a picture with me? I'm like, okay, sure. I'm like, I didn't even know who he was. Actually, I did at that point. That was 2014 or 13 or something. But anyway, it was fun. I have the picture. I have proof.
All right.
Who is that?
I have no idea. Pete, is this a Buffalo celebrity of some kind?
If so, came on the scene long after
Well,
I
Pete-
left.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, we used to have our real local celebrity was Rick James, the king of funk.
Oh wow, that's a big one right
Yes.
there.
Okay, that's Josh Norris from the Sabres.
Okay.
We've got one of them. Well, anyway, there's an introduction going on for the draft right now. Let's take a break before the first overall pick goes on the clock. The Maple Leafs have the first overall pick in the NHL Draft. They moved up in the lottery from 5
It was rigged.
to 1.
Yes, it was.
We know that.
Pete
Yeah,
Weber
we
and
know
Chris
that.
Mason claim it was rigged. The Leafs are first.
I'm a conspiracy
The
theorist.
Sharks are second. They also moved up in the lottery from 9 to 2. Vancouver at 3. Buffalo at 4, a pick they got from the Blackhawks this week for Bowen Byram. Rangers at 5. Flames at 6. Kraken at 7. Jets at 8. Sharks at 9, the pick that changed hands twice this week. From Florida to Ottawa for Brady Tkachuk, and from Ottawa to San Jose for William Eklund. And then the Predators will pick 10th. Coming up next, the Leafs will be on the clock for the first overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft. Your Predators will pick 10th. This is Draft Night in Smashville, brought to you by the UPS Store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works here on your home of Preds Hockey, 102.5 The Game. Draft night in Smashville here on 102.5 The Game. We are presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works tonight. My name is Max Herz from Preds Radio, along with the voice of the Preds, Pete Weber, Chris Mason from Preds TV, Willy Daunic from Preds TV, the whole crew here tonight. And the Maple Leafs are on the clock for the first overall pick before the Predators pick at 10. We've got Gavin McKenna on the phone on the couch in Buffalo.
Wow, you got to respect the three-piece suit there.
Yes.
I'm a big vest fan, and he's got the three-piece, and whether he goes, I think honestly, it's going to be hard for the Maple Leafs. I know they hired John Chaika, new general manager, a lot of mixed reviews on that, but to pass him up is going to be tough because he's the name that's been out there. Stenberg, obviously another Swedish left winger, I think is maybe some people see higher, and some of the defensemen you're talking about, Max. This is a tough draft class, and it's a good thing because there's no wrong pick here, but obviously Gavin McKenna's got most of the headlines. He's the guy. And we'll see here in a second if they take him.
Yeah, because they say the pick is in graphically.
Oh, wow. Okay. And they're showing Gavin McKenna.
Here comes Gary.
Oh, Gary. Right. Come on, Gary.
Nothing like the passion of fans in Buffalo. It is now time for the first pick in the 2026 NHL Draft. Please welcome one of the Toronto Maple Leafs' most diehard and iconic fans. What's going on, Buffalo? What's up, Toronto?
Man, what an incredible night. Oh, man, the child in me is ecstatic right now. I've been a Leafs fan since I was just a little boy, and these nights are so special. I'm so grateful to be here. But we got something to talk about right now. And if you follow me, what's going on, guys? How are you? What's going on, guys? How are you guys? Hey, hey. We got something to share with you guys tonight. I don't know if am I supposed to come up right up here? Hey, how are you? Good, good, good. Thanks for having me tonight. Yes, sir. I'm ready. Should I go for it?
Let's do it.
Mr. McKenna, we would like to draft you to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Wow.
Justin Bieber announces that Gavin McKenna is the first overall pick of the 2026 NHL Draft to the Maple Leafs. Not without theatrics, but what we expected.
Well, I got to tell you, with the Sharks, if they still hold on to this pick, they ought to have Neil Young introduce their selection.
Well, there you go. But, yeah, this was not a surprise, I don't think.
No.
It would be hard for me if the Toronto Maple Leafs took someone, especially in that market, and you got the Biebs. The Biebs, I don't know if he knows hockey at all. And it's tough when you mix celebrity with hockey. Everybody wants to know who's going to get picked. I don't think this is a surprise. He's probably the most talented player in the draft, the consensus number one. But having said that, there's a lot of other players that thought could have been taken there. But that's the one I think, makes the most sense.
Gavin McKenna from Whitehorse in the Yukon Territory.
Yes.
Just a couple of turns away from C. Mace's hometown.
From the area, the Great North.
From just upstairs from Chris Mason's house. But, Mace, can you give some context to how far away Gavin McKenna is from and what it means for someone of First Nations descent to be the first overall pick to the Leafs?
Well, I have my nephews are First Nations, and Jordan Tutu, as we, Preds fans obviously know, it is it's a different world when you're coming from those communities, and it takes a lot of support, dedicated parents to put the commitment into investing into your child, to every weekend, there's not teams right around that area for him to play in. So everything that he did along the step of the way, obviously, he's a generational talent, but it is an amazing thing. And he's done such a great job. I've seen a lot on social media. He's getting interviewed right now by the Beebs. This probably pretty cool for him. But what he's done, and he gives back to his community.
Yes.
And he's trying to empower, the First Nations community. And we'll take a look. I don't know. Can we hear this, or what do we?
No, we don't need the Leafs PR, but it's.
Oh, that's Austin Matthews.
Awesome,
so they knew they were
Matthews
taking
on
McKenna.
video.
Then obviously, if you have videos.
Well, he also had one for Sternberg.
Okay, well, we don't know that, but that's going to be the outtakes after the video.
Yep,
they'll show the outtakes, but no, it's awesome, and he had some controversy this year at Penn State where he punched out a guy that was chirping his mom after his mother and all that kind of stuff, and he's a heck of a player, and he had a great World Juniors. This is there, and there's his mother right there on screen right now.
How about for his parents
watching,
traveling from the Yukon to Happy Valley, Pennsylvania?
Yeah,
on a couple of occasions.
Yeah,
McKenna had 51 points in 35 games for Penn State this season, a year that started slow.
Really slow.
Crescendoed with a good run in the NCAA tournament. He had 4 goals and 10 assists in 7 games for Team Canada at World Juniors this year, where he was exceptional. And before that, before he moved to college as a 17-year-old this year, he was unreal in the Western League. 129 points, more than 2 points a night for Medicine Hat 2 years ago. He's the guy who was supposed to be in this spot the whole time.
Yeah.
And now here he is sitting with Justin Bieber as the first overall pick to the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, and I think the other aspect of this, as you pointed out, was he had the slow start. He went from junior, where he was absolutely dominant. He was the best player by far in the CHL, in the Western League, where he played in Medicine Hat. And then he went to college, and you're playing, we were talking about before this, you're playing against 25, 24-year-old men. It's different. It's a different style of hockey. You only play on the weekends. You don't play as many games. In junior, you play probably close to 70 games. In college, you play 40-some-odd games. You have to evolve and adapt. And he's 17 years old or 18 years old coming into this thing, and then he dominated. As he got comfortable, he dominated the rest of it. I think that's where you hear all the talk, well, maybe he's not the number 1 pick. And because this draft was so talented and there's so much future talent and assets in this league, but I mean, he is the consensus number 1, and the Maple Leafs, I don't think that there's no way they could not have drafted him.
And we have the entrance of another studly young Canadian into the building. Fraser Mason,
American
Mason's
Canadian
son, has arrived. The dual citizen, dual threat himself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He is. Not in hockey, but in other sports and jiu-jitsu and life.
He has the wisdom.
I actually asked him last night, what are you most proud of yourself? And he said, the way I live life. And I said, well, what does that mean to you? And he said, well, being around family and doing the things I love. So He is my hero.
Yeah.
He is my hero.
Well, you have competition because he's my hero, too.
And you're his. And you're actually my son, too.
That's exceptional. We're brothers.
Yeah.
Gavin McKenna, first overall to the Maple Leafs. We have not set a good pace on this draft. Oh, they have finally started the clock for pick number 2 to the Sharks. So that's good news. With McKenna going 1, presumably this is Ivar Stenberg, second overall.
That's what I would do.
I would say so. And then I think you're going to get a run on defenseman after this.
Yeah.
But I think Stenberg is the consensus. Some people thought that the Leafs like Stenberg better. And I mean, they're all these experts. They have so much inside information. And it's great to hear all that. And it gets the, wheels turning and people tuning in. But I would suspect it's Stenberg. But we'll see. Maybe there's a Reed is a guy that's another top.
Chase Reed, defenseman.
Chase Reed. It depends on, I think, San Jose.
And San Jose might still be getting calls.
They still might be, and they're willing to. I
Yes.
mean, they have such a plethora of high-end talent up front. They lack on the back end. Now, they could use these picks and these players, to turn that into defensemen, but
They're losing Ferraro, right?
they're losing Ferraro, which is a great, I wouldn't say he's a high-end guy, but he's a guy he's a guy that can do everything.
Yeah.
He's physical, he can penalty kill, he's got some offensive skill set. He's a great player, but if you want to win a Stanley Cup, you need balance on both ends. So we'll see. It'll be very interesting, but you'd think Stenberg's probably the best player available at this point.
Yeah, I think the Maple Leafs made their choice for them, going with McKenna, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
Stenberg is a left winger from Frölunda in Sweden, and he played with the big boys in the Swedish league this year, had 11 goals, 33 points in 43 games, was another great World Junior player. And, Petey, we saw his big brother Otto play against the Predators this season on the Blues. He was a first-round pick 3 years ago in the draft here at Bridgestone Arena, 25th overall.
Speaking of teams that might make a whole boatload of moves, how about the Blues with all their draft picks?
Yeah, well, they traded away Jordan Kyrou this week.
Yes.
And they already had a couple of extra picks in the first round, so the Blues will have 11, 15, and 16 here on night number one, and also 29, the pick they got for Braden Shen. So the Braden Shen, Justin Falk, and Jordan Kyrou trades take the Blues from 1 first-round pick to 4. As we welcome Willy Daunic in from Preds TV. Willie, no surprise at pick number 1, Gavin McKenna to the Leafs, Justin Bieber with the dramatic announcement.
Interesting. And we're doing our little musical chairs here with 3 mics, 4 people. But Pete, I did not make the connection, but I have something in common with Gavin McKenna. We both spent time in Medicine Hat.
Yes. Yep. So
it's a Medicine Hat Tiger.
And him and Mace both have a picture with Justin Bieber now.
But I don't know.
Yes.
Do you want me to get him to come back for a Medicine Hat reunion?
Well, I think it's only right. That'd be a big day in Medicine Hat. I would not get top billing, though, I don't think. The return to Medicine Hat for Gavin McKenna and some guy that used to play for the Medicine Hat Blue Jays.
And some large horseflies.
Yeah, so plenty of those. Serious mosquitoes as well.
All right, Willie, are you sure that this is Ivar Stenberg, 2nd overall for the Sharks, or are you thinking other options?
Pretty sure that it'll be Stenberg. I heard this rationalization by the athletic group as they were doing their homework. Once they got the 2nd pick and then acquired the 9th pick, San Jose, they could fill 2 needs. Like if you look, we saw that San Jose team a couple times late in the season, dynamic young forwards, and they need the D, but they can get the D man at 9. So I think this will be Stenberg, who clearly is the number 2 prospect.
Here's Gary Bettman.
Sharks is an Olympic gold medalist who last week became the first draft pick of the new PWHL franchise in San Jose, Layla Edwards.
All right. How's it going, Buffalo? All right. Well, thanks for having me tonight, and I'll just get right into it. I love it. There we go. Do I just let it play out?
You should have brought the gold medal.
I know. I should have brought the gold medal, he said. Dang it. Well, with the 2nd overall selection in the 2026 NHL Draft, the San Jose Sharks are proud to select from the Frölunda Swedish League, Ivar Stenberg.
The Swede. Ivar Stenberg, 2nd overall to the Sharks, as announced by Olympic gold medalist Layla Edwards. Another one that goes the way we expect. Stenberg, the next big piece of San Jose's rising young core, Willie.
And, of course, people may or may not be aware, his brother Otto was drafted here in Nashville just a few years ago by the St. Louis Blues later in the first round. So no Stenberg connection. He didn't make it as far as the Blues have all the picks in the middle of the round, but Ivar wasn't going to make it that far. But Stenberg, a lot of people think is more well-rounded right now than Gavin McKenna. McKenna has the high offensive upside that is just too good to pass up. But a lot of people think that Stenberg as an all-around player might be better in those areas. And the question I think what I've read a lot is, will he score enough to be really valued as the second overall? But on the Sharks, he may not have to score a whole lot. They've got so many dynamic guys. It's amazing.
Do they ever? Now, here is the interesting question coming up here. Does Vancouver choose their new coach's son with the next pick? Because many mock drafts have Caleb Malhotra rated number 3.
That is the question, and it's been buzzing around for weeks now, ever since they hired Manny Malhotra. This has been the question. And Pete, a little history here. You can remember this when the Predators were participating in their first ever draft, 1998. That was the draft that Manny Malhotra was drafted as a player. And he wasn't quite good enough to be picked where the Predators picked at second, but he was a guy who had a very nice NHL career for a long time. Everybody is very high on him as a coaching prospect.
Yes, very high on him as a coaching prospect. Not any question. But I think the best comments I have heard, Tony Granato going, I would hate to be the kid walking into that situation where your father's team drafts you.
Yes.
And you're just trying to make it as a pro.
And yet he plays the center position, which is hard to find. And there's all the arguments have been thrown out there. When he's in his prime, is his dad still going to be the coach based on the cycle of most head coaches? But the other part of it is, I heard this talked about a lot. And I asked D. Mace about this, in the whole could you coach your son type of thing. But one thing that gets brought up a lot is, the players are by themselves a lot. Sometimes you just need to vent out, right? And a lot of times you get on the coaches. Like, what is the coach thinking over here? It's like a natural thing that the coach is aware of happening, but you want to be away from it. But if you're the son of the coach, especially if you're super young and you're with the boys and they're ripping on your dad, what's that going to be like? Or how does that information filter back to dad? Right?
Yes.
If your son is like, hey, dad, this is what they were talking about.
Very uncomfortable.
Like it could be a little uncomfortable there. But is that trumped by just the fact that he might just be the guy that you cannot turn down?
We just had a trade go down.
Vancouver?
No. J.J. Peterka has been traded from the Mammoth to the Bruins in exchange for the 23rd overall pick tonight, going from Boston to Utah, and the Panthers 2028 first-round pick.
Okay.
That will also go from Boston to Utah.
Wow.
So 2 firsts for J.J. Peterka.
A German to be named later.
Interesting. That started brewing in the last hour. A lot of people had that he was going to go to Boston. And this is the second straight year that Peterka has been traded. He was just traded last summer.
Right.
So that you think about Utah and all the talent they've amassed, and you would think that they would be going for established players, but they feel good enough about trading Peterka and grabbing 2 future picks. What are they going to do with those picks? I'm really curious myself.
Yeah.
We have another trade. The Vegas Golden Knights have traded Pavel Dorofeev to the Rangers.
Wow.
That is a shocker. We don't know the return yet.
Well, Pavel Dorofeev was due for a new contract and a huge raise. Was a restricted free agent, I believe.
Yes.
Dorofeev, who is a third-round pick that has exploded as a scorer. So
Vegas'
this will be
only homegrown star.
Yes. So I'm really curious what the return is there. And Vegas finally looks like they have to probably give up somebody that they didn't want to give up. They finally hit that threshold. It seems like every time you think Vegas has got to be out of moves. They have no picks left, no prospects.
Right.
What are they going to do? And they end up with Mitch Marner, these guys, and they keep doing well. So I'm really curious what kind of rabbit out of the hat they're going to pull for Dorofeev here.
Well, we will let you know once that information is made available, but multiple sources on Twitter, Emily Kaplan of ESPN and Darren Treger of TSN, both reporting that Pavel Dorofeev has been traded from the Golden Knights to the Rangers. The trade madness of the week does not stop
Wonder if Trocheck
as the
is
draft
guy that goes
begins.
back.
All right, the Vancouver Canucks will pick a third overall. Gavin McKenna went first. Ivar Stenberg went second. Commissioner Bettman tells us who goes third.
Actress known for her fan favorite performance as Robin on the hit series How I Met Your Mother. Please welcome Vancouver native and Canucks fan Kobe Smulders.
Hey, Canucks fans. I am so thrilled to be here. Today is an exciting step forward for our favorite team, my favorite team. With the overall third pick for the 2026 pick is Caleb Malhotra. Let's go. Go Canucks, go.
The father-son duo. They picked their new head coach's son, center Caleb Malhotra from the OHL's Brantford Bulldogs, bound for Boston University in the fall, goes third overall to the Vancouver Canucks. His dad, Manny Malhotra, is the first-year Canucks head coach.
Wow. JP Dumont is already weighing in as a thumbs down on the pick.
Oh.
Well, Pete, you can put this into perspective. Yeah. Vancouver, just like Toronto and Montreal, but maybe lesser build, but it's a circus, right? It's always a media circus. When you go out there, there's all kinds of people covering the team, second-guessing. And right now they're a little bit of a mess. That's why they're picking third. They just had to train. They had to trade Quinn Hughes. Yes. You know, they're really scrambling. They've got new leadership, and now you've got this, which will be a big drama from day one.
Huge
right? From now on, yep. Hey, how's the father and son working? Is this the right guy? Is he the right guy? This is just. It's not going to be dull. We know that.
No, I mean I thought it was rough enough playing junior high school football for my dad, and this is several levels up from that, to tell you the truth. Wow.
All right, we got to take a break. 3 picks are in the books. Caleb Malhotra goes third overall to the Canucks. The Predators will pick 10th, hopefully sometime in the next half hour. Be back after this on Draft Night in Smashville, presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works. You're on 102.5 The Game. Welcome back to Draft Night in Smashville here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. We are 3 picks in. The Predators will pick 10th. Gavin McKenna went first overall to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ivar Stenberg second to the San Jose Sharks. And Caleb Malhotra to the Vancouver Canucks. 3 forwards in the first 3 picks. Max Herz, Willy Daunic, and Pete Weber back with you. We do have news. The return for Pavel Dorofeyev going from the Knights to the Rangers is in. The Rangers will send the Golden Knights the 26th overall pick tonight, which they got from the Hurricanes for Keandre Miller last year, a 2028 first-round pick, and a 2026 third-round pick.
So two firsts and a third.
For Pavel Dorofeyev going from the Knights to the Rangers. Now, 4th overall, the hometown Buffalo Sabres will pick.
Please welcome back Dion Dawkins and Josh Stone. We're here. Oh, wow.
Hey, Buffalo, I think it's only right? We have a lot of unfinished business, but I get the honor to announce and bring to the stage Thurman Thomas.
Oh, this is awesome. With the 4th overall selection in the 2026 NFL Draft. NHL Draft, my bad. Sorry about that. The Buffalo Sabres are proud to select from the Prince Albert Raiders, Daxon Rudolph.
That is a major surprise. Daxon Rudolph, first off the board, first of the defensemen off the board at 4th overall to the Sabres.
I think there would have been a lot of speculation that it would not have been him at number 1 of the 6. There are 6 defensemen projected in the top, say, 12 or 13 picks conservatively, maybe even the top 10, which is something that Nashville, I'm sure, will be monitoring. So I was going to say, if we had time, this was the pick that was going to start maybe directing where the Predators are going to have their sights set at number 10, because the first 3 were pretty predictable. Even if maybe one of them slid down a spot or 2, they knew those 3 guys wouldn't be there. I saw Daxon Rudolph available at 10 on a lot of a lot of mock drafts, which shows you these guys are 18 years old. The scouts are going to differ, especially on 6 guys that play the same position. They all just have different strengths. They're different sizes. Some are righty, some are lefty. But the Sabres, who just acquired this pick for a defenseman, giving up Bowen Byram, they take a defenseman in his place, but it's not the one that a lot of people thought. I think the consensus people had Chase Reed going at 4.
I think this
as the first of the defensemen going off the board. Some people had him higher than 4.
This may assure that Buffalo will not be a Connor Hellebuck player.
Okay.
Because they took this draft pick.
And they have accumulated so much young talent right now. That's the decision that they have to make, is what to do with it all, because a lot of them are the same age. A lot of them were like Zach Benson are earning contracts, and it's not like Bowen Byram's an older guy.
No.
He's 24, 25. And they had to move on from him, and they got this pick, which is a pretty good use of assets, I would say.
Daxon Rudolph, the right-handed defenseman from the Prince Albert Raiders of the Western Hockey League, will be playing college next year at U Denver. The surprise 4th overall pick defenseman going to the Buffalo Sabres, and the first defenseman off the board in the 2026 NHL Draft, Willie.
How many more before the Predators pick at 10?
So that's the question, because the way I was going to put it too, you've got these 5 other defensemen that the names have been swirling, and you've got the wild card in the top 10, and that is Viggo Bjork, the center that a lot of people are very intrigued with. So the Rangers pick next. They just made the move for Dorofeyev. Does that have them leaning more towards a defenseman? We'll see. It could be your favorite guy of the group, Max, which is Smits, the kid from Latvia, right? I've seen mock drafts that link the Rangers to him, but we'll see.
We will see, and we'll find out when we come back. 4 picks in. The Rangers will pick 5th overall. Gavin McKenna to the Leafs. Ivar Stenberg to the Sharks. Caleb Malhotra to the Canucks. Daxon Rudolph, the surprise defenseman, 4th overall to the Buffalo Sabres. Rangers pick next at 5. Predators pick 10th. You were listening to Draft Night in Smashville, presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works here on 102.5 The Game. Welcome back to Draft Night in Smashville here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. My name is Max Herz, along with Willy Daunic and Chris Mason back with us. We are 4 picks into the 2026 NHL Draft. The Predators will pick 10th overall here soon. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works. We are at a packed house of Preds fans here at the BetMGM Sports Lounge at Bridgestone Arena. Mace, a little bit of chaos as the Sabres take defenseman Daxon Rudolph as the first D off the board, 4th overall.
Well, I think that can tell you that this draft is so strong that there were those group of defensemen. I think everybody thought Chase Reed was automatically going to be the first D-man off the board, but every organization has certain intangibles that they're looking for, and obviously Daxon Rudolph from Lacoma, Alberta, by the way, which is only 15 minutes from Red Deer, Alberta, my hometown.
So the area that you grew up in.
From the area. But that was a shock because he was in that group of defensemen, but I think it was consensus that it was Chase Reed. I would expect Reed to go next. I don't know, but this is what we were talking about before the draft actually started. There's all these players. You're going to get a good pick from probably 1 to 13, a high-end pick. And it's whatever you're identifying as an organization that you feel you need. They've obviously had the scouting staffs watching all these guys, getting to know them. Here we go. Gary Bettman's up now, but that was a big, big surprise.
Rangers, 5th overall.
New York Rangers select from Jokerit and Munchen of the Finnish and German leagues, Alberts Smits.
Yes. Perhaps the most polarizing prospect in the top 15, Alberts Schmitz goes 5th overall, left-handed defenseman from Latvia to the New York Rangers.
Interesting. And so this is the guy that has Olympic experience, and he played in the World Juniors. He played in the under 18. He's so young, and he's played a ton of hockey. But a lot of people are really intrigued about this guy.
Well, Latvians, obviously, if the original Preds fans would remember Carlos Skrastinj, which was an amazing hockey player. But Latvia has really come onto the hockey scene, I think. You know, as a powerhouse, you think Sweden, Finland, you know, Latvia now, I think the fact that he had success at the pro level, he played in Finland, was it?
Yes, he's played in Finland and Germany.
In Germany, which is the men's hockey league. And then he played in the Olympics, and he had a great Olympics. Latvia had a great Olympics, and they're playing against the best players in the world, and this has been a long time coming. And this is another polarizing guys like Viggo Bork, where he's been all over the map in terms of where people thought he would be taken. And now Chase Reed, who was probably everybody thought he'd be the first D-man off the board. And now you have two guys. You have Daxon Rudolph, and then you have now Albert Smith off the board.
There's only one Albert, but he's named Alberts.
Alberts. But it's crazy. And you got to give these scouts, they go and watch these guys, they go and see. And when we're talking about this before, when you play against different leagues, it's hard to evaluate these guys. You're playing junior, you're playing college, you're playing, you know, over in Europe in the men's leagues. How do you compare who's going to be the better player? And he's done it. He's had success against the best players on the planet in the Olympics. He had a great Olympics.
Gary Bettman is now addressing the crowd, the J.J. Peterka trade that we've already discussed, with Peterka being traded for the second straight summer.
Yeah.
With pretty interesting stuff. The Flames are on the clock. And I hear a lot of buzz about the Flames and Bjork. This will be the key pick for Bjork, because if he gets past the Flames, then maybe there's a chance he could get to Nashville.
I think so.
10th. And a lot of us are really intrigued about Bjork. But we'll see with the Flames. I was listening to the 32 Thoughts podcast. They had their draft experts. They said that Bjork will not get past the Flames at 6. They were adamant about it, but we'll see if they're right.
We'll see. And that's why this draft is so intriguing, because I don't think any pick that's been made is wrong. I think the Mahaltra pick maybe have been what's it called when you have the family influence in the organization, nepotism.
Yes.
It might have been a nepotism, but he's a great player. But now I think you're getting the point. The knock on Bjork is his size.
Yes.
But he doesn't play like that. He has got elite skill. He is a bulldog. He'll run through anybody. He's a great penalty killer. He played his coach this year said that he's had no other player like Bjergården. They've had a ton of good players. They've had nobody quite like him in terms of the intangibles that he brings to the table as such a young player. So
Bjork is one to keep your eye on. Then the other defenseman, just to put a name by their position, to keep your eye on, Chase Reed, who a lot of people thought would be the first. You've got Carson Carrolls, a left-handed defenseman from Prince George from the Western League.
Played there.
And then Keaton Verhoff, who is young for this draft, even for his age. He's younger, on the younger side. And so people think he's got even more of a ceiling. If he were to be just a few months older, he would be in next year's draft, or a few months younger. He would be in next year's draft. And so there's a lot of intrigue. And he already played almost like a Matt Wood, played as a very, very young freshman at North Dakota. And so that's a guy that's still lingering. So one of these defensemen, maybe more than one, will be sitting there at 10. We'll see about Bjork. And then there's Matt Cullen's son, Wyatt, that a lot of people think is an intriguing guy. Pete, at the wing. You like him?
Well, you know Matt Cullen, his father,
right,
who's obviously been here and played.
I mean, I want a guy who played around downstairs years ago, playing kickball and so on down in the bowels of the rink.
Yeah, that was
that was the Kachuk brothers for me.
Yeah.
And now either you love them or you hate them, but you want them on your team. So
all right,
Florida's got them both now.
All right.
Here comes
Number 6 for the Flames.
Yep.
co-captain of their 1989 Stanley Cup championship team, and a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame. Please welcome Lanny McDonald.
Hello, Buffalo. And thank you very much for the hospitality. I'd like to say a special hello to our fans, our season ticket holders, and our partners back at the Scotiabank Saddle Dome in Calgary, where they're hanging out at the Sportsnet draft party. Hello, gang, and here we go. With the 6th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the Calgary Flames are very proud to select from the Prince George Cougars, Carson Carrolls. Yes!
It is another defenseman. 3 in a row at 4, 5, and 6. Carson Carrolls goes 6th overall to the Flames from Chris Mason's proud Western League alma mater, the Prince George Cougars. He'll be playing college at North Dakota this fall.
So I'm an alumnus, and just what Willie was saying, he mentioned Carson as well. These guys, and you're going off the board here in the draft.
Yes.
Okay. So you take Mahaltra. Cameron Reed was the first consensus draft defenseman from almost everything that I looked at today.
Every mock draft.
But you have, this is why you don't know, and these guys that go scout, you don't know the intangibles. They get to know the families, they get to know the personality. And the biggest thing, the hardest thing, I think, is projecting what this player is at an 18-year-old level to what he's going to be as an NHLer. You don't know. And he's a player that has offensive skill set. He's a bigger guy. He's got physicality. He had, I think he had 10 points. They played 10 playoff games. He's an offensive defenseman. I think now when you get in the league, you heard Chris McFarland, our GM, talking about the importance of having those types of players that can move the puck, he is one of those guys. And he's played in a tough league where he's played 67 or whatever, however many games they played. He's been through the battles. He can do that. He played in the World Junior Championships. But again, this is another player that has went above where they expected him to go.
All right, we are 6 picks into the 2026 NHL Draft. Predators will pick 10th overall. The first 3 picks were all forwards. Gavin McKenna, number 1 to the Maple Leafs. Ivar Stenberg, number 2 to the Sharks. Caleb Malhotra, number 3 to the Canucks. Then 3 straight defensemen at 4, 5, and 6. Daxon Rudolph to the Sabres at 4. Albert Schmitz to the Rangers at 5. Carson Carrolls to the Flames at 6. Keaton Verhoff and Chase Reed, 2 of the top defensemen in the draft, and at a time the 2 top defensemen in the draft, are still on the board. 3 more picks before the Preds go. Seattle at 7, Winnipeg at 8, San Jose at 9, and then your Preds at 10. We'll be back after this with Draft Night in Smashville, presented by the UPS Store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works on 102.5 The Game. Welcome back to Draft Night in Smashville, presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works. The Seattle Kraken have just announced their pick at 7. It is the 4th straight defenseman, and defenseman Chase Reed from the Sioux Greyhounds, who fell to 7. This defenseman order, a little bit surprising, but 4 of them have gone off the board. Chase Reed, the newest member of the Seattle Kraken, at pick number 7. Max Herz, Chris Mason, Willy Daunic, Pete Weber here with you. It's the chaos we expected inside the top 10 as the Predators wait to pick at 10th overall.
Well, that's a steal as far as I'm concerned. He was the consensus number 3. I think it was McKenna, Stenberg. We didn't know which way Toronto was going to go, and then Reed was the consensus top defenseman off the board. So I think Seattle, who's had a tough time lately with the whole Jason Robertson, they've been trying to get a lot of high-end players, but this is what they say is a generational talent at defenseman, maybe the most talented defenseman in the whole group. He maybe doesn't have the physicality intangible that some of those other guys do.
And there's been a big debate about that. I don't know about a debate, but there was a really interesting article on The Athletic about what scouts value for winning. There's the points guys, the guys like Lane Hudson and Fox for New York Fox, and the real skilled guys that can run a power play that rack up big offensive numbers, but also balancing it with the big, strong guys that win you games in the playoffs. Reed is that skilled offensive guy, right? He's got that big upside there.
He's the most talented defenseman in terms of the skill level of what you're talking about. And if you don't have that in your organization, which I don't know if we're talking about the Nashville Predators, if they have that, maybe Cameron Reed could be that player. Just won a Memorial Cup. And he could be that type of a player. But in this draft right now, Chase Reed is that guy.
And Pete, isn't it interesting that the 7th pick, rumored, or this was reported by Elliot Friedman, they were going to give this pick to Dallas as part of the package to trade for Jason Robertson and pay him $15 million a year. The problem is that Robertson didn't go for it. He didn't sign the sheet. Yeah.
He didn't want $120 million.
Well, he'll get it somewhere else.
Yeah.
But so now there's a lot riding on this pick. Sometimes the deals that you don't make turn out pretty well. And so if Reed ends up being a great player for the Kraken, all will be well, I guess.
Or he could be a better chip as the 7th overall pick without having that pick. Now you have Chase Reed, who was supposed to go 3rd overall.
You have a quantity.
I mean, you have a guy that's, a consensus top guy. Like some people speculated that San Jose would have taken a defenseman because they need defensemen. They have a plethora of forwards, but so they didn't.
That, Max, sets us up for the next 2 picks. Winnipeg has the next pick. And then San Jose has the 9th pick. San Jose has got the big-time forward with the number 2 pick. They need, we saw this with the 3 matchups that the Predators had with the Sharks late in the season. They're thin on prospects at D. Like they got so many forwards, they didn't know what to do with them all. That's why
so Verhoff.
So there's Verhoff, and there is Gustafsson, who's a big left shot D that's got size is his biggest thing. He can move
Matthias
and move
Ekholm-esque.
Yeah, maybe not prolific offensive points kind of D.
Yeah, but Matthias Ekholm maybe a bit better offensively.
So this again brings us back to
Viggo Bjork is still.
I think Bjork is.
Do you think Bjork will be picked here? Because I don't think the Sharks are going to take Bjork. They just took Stenberg.
They don't need him.
So who will the Jets pick is going to really dictate, I think, what the Predators have in front of them.
All right, we'll go to West Side Story before the Preds pick. The Jets, then the Sharks, and then your Predators at 10.
This is crazy, though. This is unreal.
Isn't that well done?
Well done, man.
Gavin McKenna, first overall. Ivar Stenberg, second overall. Caleb Malhotra, third. 3 forwards to start. Then 4 straight defensemen. Daxon Rudolph to the Sabres. Albert Schmitz to the Rangers. Carson Carrolls to the Flames. Chase Reed to the Kraken. And the Preds are 2 picks away. The Jets at 8, the Sharks at 9, and then the Preds at 10. Willie's feeling optimistic that Viggo Bjork may be there.
Well, this is what's
I think he could be.
Well, this is what it shakes out. I mean, there's only 2 more picks. So if the Predators like Bjork, which I think would be no question something to watch, they could use another D.
Yeah.
So there's Verhoff, a right shot D, who can do it all. And is a little younger, as we talked about, so there's a lot of intrigue there. Gustafsson's got the big, rangy body.
Here's Winnipeg's pick. They're ready.
And then there's Wyatt Cullen, Matt's son.
Yeah.
Two of those four are going to be there. Two of those four will be there.
Yeah.
All right, here comes Commissioner Bettman for 8th overall in the Winnipeg Jets.
26 NHL Draft, the Winnipeg Jets select from your garden, Vigo Bjork.
Well, Willie, it was fun while it lasted.
Yep, no Bjork. So we won't be playing, Bjork, the musical artist. We won't be playing her songs at Bridgestone Arena, unfortunately. She's got some good songs. I used to like Bjork. You never heard of Bjork, have you, Matt?
No, I have.
You know Bjork.
Yeah.
Okay. She's a little strange, but I like Bjork.
Well, so is Vigo.
Thumbs up on Bjork, the musician.
This was a guy that was ranked anywhere from 3rd to 15th.
Right.
So he's a smaller guy. He's had nothing but accolades from anybody that's played against him or coached him. He is a smaller guy. He's 5'9", but he's a bulldog. He's got skill. He's got hockey sense. He's got the hockey IQ, everything that everybody talks about, especially as a young 18-year-old player. He played in Djurgården, which is an elite squad in Sweden men's hockey. That's why we talk about it. It's so hard to decipher who's going to be the better player because they all play against different competition. But this was the biggest, to me, the biggest X factor in the draft. I was hoping he would make it to our pick, but I didn't think he would. And now
Came pretty close.
He came pretty close.
So
the
now
Jets
you
need
have
a defenseman.
I would put good money that the Jets take a D-man here. So that you've got the two
Sharks.
highest rated Sharks, sorry.
Yeah.
The Sharks, Verhoff and Gustafsson are the two of the 6 that everybody was centered in on.
Exactly.
So the other one will be there for the Preds, and then I think the other guy to watch is Wyatt Cullen. When the Predators
for
pick.
the Predators is Verhoff and Cullen. That's the decision. And it's not a centerman, it's not a left way. It's not
So you would take over Gustafsson.
Yes.
If
I think
the Sharks
Gustafsson
take
is like a
Verhoff.
Matthias Ekholm. I think you could get that type of a player. He's a beast.
Yeah.
He's that player, but what did they get Matthias Ekholm? 2nd round? I think you can
Second
get
or 3rd round, yeah.
Yeah,
Third.
that type of a player later. I don't think you can get a Wyatt Cullen later. So
Okay.
Verhoff, different.
All right.
That's going to be a big decision, I think.
One more pick before the Predators go. We're going to take a break while we can. The Sharks will pick at 9th, and the Predators will take at 10. Our last commercial break before the Preds pick. This is Draft Night in Smashville, presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works here on 102.5 The Game. Welcome back to Draft Night in Smashville here on 102.5 The Game. We are at the BetMGM Sports Lounge, and we are 2 picks away from your Preds at number 10. The Sharks will pick at 9. The Preds will go at number 10. We're presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works. Max Herz, Willy Daunic, Chris Mason, Pete Weber. And pick number 9 with the San Jose Sharks precedes the Preds right now.
So they are setting the table. Still some time on the clock. Now, the Sharks, remember, they've already picked with the second pick. So, is there any chance at the last second they could deal this pick? I mean, their time on the clock has run out.
It's made.
But it is it in?
It's in.
It is Layla Edwards back
They're
up
bringing
to
her
the
back
podium.
again, huh?
The new San Jose PWHL defenseman. All right, let's hear it.
For the San Jose Sharks, please welcome back Layla Edwards.
I'm back. Thank you for having me again. It's a good crowd, really good crowd. I love it. All right, do we have any Sharks fans in here? No, that was a lot more than I was expecting. I hope to see you guys at some PWHL San Jose games. All right. With the 9th overall selection in the 2026 NHL Draft, the San Jose Sharks are proud to select from the North Dakota Fighting Hawks, Keaton Verhoff.
Defenseman Keaton Verhoff goes 9th to the Sharks. 2 picks in the top 10 for San Jose, and Mace, these guys might have won the draft.
Well, I think so. I mean, when you look at their core and their nucleus right now, I mean, I think they shocked everybody how good they were going to be with Macklin Celebrini and company. But I think now when you add these 2 players, and Verhoff is another guy, he's played college, so he's not Chase Reed playing junior and all these guys, Daxon Rudolph. He's played against the next level where I think he's more NHL. I would expect him to make the roster next year.
Definitely.
And it's the piece that they seem to be missing.
Yes,
the
exactly.
front line D prospect. Now, he'll be really young. Sam Dickinson is the other high first-round pick that they had playing last year. He kind of got schooled some. But
at the end of the year, exactly, when it matters. But you look at
but they're so young.
5-year plan or whatever it is.
Ooh,
I mean,
scary.
this team, it's good. They're going to be scary. They're
Now,
going to be scary. And that was the pick I think we all thought, talking off air, they should take him.
So now you've got the 2 guys that I think are the 2 most likely. Wyatt Cullen, if you want the scorer and the skill,
I'm
and
taking
the pedigree.
Wyatt Cullen. I'm taking Cullen.
So am I.
And then I think I would third that. And then there's Gustafson, Malte Gustafson, left-hand D, that has got the big range. He's been like a late, fast riser up the board. A lot of intrigue. He's got the size that you covet as a defenseman. Not quite as much skill.
His older brother last year in the 3rd round. Vigo
that's right. That's right.
Other options.
So they're on the clock.
There are other options at forward. Winger Ethan Belchez, the big winger from Windsor.
Yes.
Also Swede Alex Coman. I think there are some more guys in play here. But I'd like to think it's Wyatt Cullen.
I can't see them passing on Wyatt Cullen. I just think with his rise the last year, his growth, not only as a player in the U.S. development program, but his size and his ability to still dominate in hockey games. He's that electric. The Predators lack that type of a player. Riker Lee, I think, last year injected that into our prospect pool. And I don't think we have it. I think the Predators need somebody like that. They've got a lot of good hockey players, but nobody with those intangibles. And the pedigree.
The pedigree is highly important.
Yes.
Highly important.
Exactly. As you know, Matt Cullen.
Well, the camera operators at the draft agree with you, C-Mace.
Is that Matt Cullen?
Right now.
He's still got a good head of hair.
We have the live feed from Buffalo as they're going to show the Preds watch party on the draft. They are filming the Cullen family right now.
He is one of the nicest guys. I
Yes.
played with him my first year pro in Cincinnati.
Yep.
Matt Cullen. He went on to have an unbelievable career.
The Mighty
as we
Ducks
all
of
know.
Cincinnati.
The Mighty Ducks, the first year they were ever
The old Cincinnati Gardens.
Yeah, and it was the AHL.
Right.
And then I went to the IHL with the Predators with the Milwaukee Admirals. But he is, you cannot go wrong. And I hope they take him. We'll see.
Well,
they
just
can't
to
go
try
wrong
to,
here.
Just to balance because I think we have the knowledge on Cullen and all the info on Matt. Gustafson, massive riser. I'm reading out of the Athletic here. Yeah. Standout performance at the U18 World Championship, which is not the World Junior Championship.
No, but still.
He has forced his way up. He has moved up. Here's one scout. I didn't see the offense to start the season, but he was so good at the 18s, he could go top 10. His profile is drawing lofty comparisons who love his physical tools.
Pick us in, folks.
Here we go.
Wyatt Cullen.
All right, we are on a bit of a forward path here at Bridgestone Arena at the watch party. We will have a guest picker for the Preds.
Who's going to be our announcer?
Oh, country singer.
It's got to be Dirks, no?
Luke Bryan is in Buffalo.
Okay.
Wearing his Preds draft hat and his trademark black tee. The Predators will go 10th overall. All right, let's hear it live from the commissioner.
For Nashville is a huge Predators hockey fan. He happens to be performing in Buffalo in about 90 minutes. He's a 5-time Entertainer of the Year and one of country music's biggest stars, Luke Bryan.
How we doing, Buffalo? Looking good. So it's good to be here representing Music City and a hockey town. And so this next election, they'll learn to appreciate beer chugging and catfish getting thrown on the ice, all right? So with the 10th overall selection in the 2026 NHL Draft, the Nashville Predators are proud to select from the United States National Team Development Program, Wyatt Cullen.
Wyatt Cullen, 10th overall to the Nashville Predators, a Preds legacy, and a young 17-year-old winger with tons of playmaking upside.
Now, I would say, Mace, that if you look at the consensus of the board, Gustafson went higher than Cullen in most of the mock drafts.
Yes.
But I think just especially with Nashville's history of lacking skilled players like Cullen and the intrigue of U.S. national team and Matt Cullen having played here, I think this is going to go over really well with the fans because I think there's probably a bias on the front end of guys who can make it happen offensively, and that's his strong suit.
Exactly. And when I'm looking at a player, you look at their pedigree and the intangibles that they bring to the table, but like watching him play hockey, you know, he is a guy that has been speculated because his growth, literally, he started the season.
Yeah.
I think he was like 5'8" or something. He was a smaller guy, and then he's 6'1" now.
A big growth spurt.
A big growth spurt.
When September happened, he was Cliff Ronning.
Exactly. And in the NHL now, when you have guys that have that size, his playmaking ability, I am so happy that they chose Wyatt Cullen. This was the guy that I was hoping that would get there. I didn't think Bjork would get there. I thought there might be a chance somebody might pass and you get all these elite defensemen that have been taken. But I think that made the decision easier for the Predators. Wyatt Cullen is a guy that's got skills past the guys that get drafted now. Gustafson, all these guys, they don't have what he brings to offer. Hockey IQ. He's got the pedigree. He's got the mentality. We see Matt Cullen up there They're doing the interview on NHL Network right now
And
with his parents.
One of the youngest players in the draft. So this
Exactly.
is another thing that I think scouts look at is, had he been born a couple just months later, he'd have a whole nother year
later.
Yes.
Is that right? Just a week was the cutoff?
That's all it was.
So he would have had a whole nother year to develop.
And that's huge.
And that would have means he's probably in the top 5
He's
next
still
year.
a kid. Exactly. He's a kid. He's a kid right now.
Yeah.
And there's no hurry to get him to Nashville. There's a chance he could come in and, fight for a spot on the roster. We don't know what's going to happen there.
I'd like to see him July 3rd.
Yeah, well, we will see him July 3rd
Yes.
for sure. And we'll probably see Matt as well, who's one of the nicest guys. And I'll tell you, any NHL team, when you're looking at drafting a prospect this high, you look at, their parent situation, the coachability, the character. And there's nobody that I've played with that has a higher character standard than Matt Cullen. And anybody that's ever played with him, coached him, will say exactly the same thing. And I think that is an amazing pick at 10 for the Nashville Predators getting Wyatt Cullen.
Didn't we have a party downstairs in what is now the Lexus Lounge to commemorate Matt's 1200th NHL game?
Yeah. And he was he didn't play here for a lot of years.
Right.
He wasn't here. He won in Pittsburgh, I believe.
He left here for Pittsburgh.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what,
there's the growth chart.
Yeah, how about it?
This is 5'8". He's Cliff Ronning, as you mentioned.
And he gained
a 6'1", and his
30
production
pounds.
never fell off. That's the big thing. And I was just talking to JP Dumont behind me. He knows all these prospects in North America. And he pointed to his brain. He said the hockey IQ is off the charts.
I think of some other parallels. A guy that you know very well, Max, Luke Cornett. He had a similar growth spurt. He was not recruited. And he had a huge growth spurt, as they're showing us now in the MGM Lounge.
That's a steal.
And Riker Lee had a similar growth spurt that
Exactly.
moved him up the charts last year. So I think this bodes well because it's changing his profile quickly as he's making this growth spurt right in front of our eyes.
Exactly. And you think of, obviously, we are where we are right now in terms of an organization and our roster, but you look down the road and you've got Cam Reed coming in. You've got Brady Martin, who's a different profile type of a player. You've got Riker Lee, who's a game breaker. You have Wyatt Cullen, who is a similar kind of player. Well, I wouldn't say similar, but in terms of his passing ability, his goal scoring, his skating, and now his size, this is a great pick. This is a great pick for the Nashville Predators. I'm so glad that this worked out the way it does. I think if Verhoff had been available, that would have been a really tough decision, I think, for our scouting staff and Chris McFarland and company. But I think Wyatt Cullen at 10 is an unbelievable pick. This draft was so strong.
As long as it wasn't Christian Ehrhoff.
Hey, he was a good player, but
and he got a big contract.
He got a big contract. Well, he earned it, but he's no Verhoff. And St. Louis Blues, this is their first of 4 picks in the first round.
All right, Wyatt Cullen, 10th overall to the Nashville Predators, the 17-year-old winger from the U.S. National Team Development Program. He has a college commitment to the University of Minnesota, which is labeled for 2 falls from now in the fall of 2027, when Cullen is scheduled to go to college and begin his college commitment.
So he's got a whole year before he goes to college.
1 more year with the National Team Development Program.
So
Certainly the plan.
That's how young he is.
That is a young, high-ceiling selection for the Preds, and it seems like the panel agrees a win for the franchise, and especially cool for a former Preds player's son to be selected. All right, here go the St. Louis Blues at number 11. Their first of 4 picks and 3 in the next 6.
Well, at least it worked that time. With the 11th overall selection in the 2026 NHL Draft, the St. Louis Blues select from Boston University, Tynan Lawrence.
Tynan Lawrence at 11th overall. At a time in the draft process, this felt like it could be a possibility for the Preds. Lawrence goes 1 pick behind the Predators. Center from Boston U. Came into college hockey mid-season coming from the USHL this year. He goes 11th overall to the St. Louis Blues. All right, we're going to take a break. We have a ton more draft coverage to come. We hope to speak with Predators' 10th overall selection, Wyatt Cullen, later on in the show, and plenty more draft talk as the Predators get a big win and get a young playmaker at 10th overall. Wyatt Cullen, son of former Pred Matt Cullen, making him, Pete,
a son of a Predator.
An SOP, baby.
Yeah.
It's a thing of beauty. Welcome to Smashville, Wyatt Cullen. You're listening to Draft Night in Smashville, presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works here on 102.5 The Game. Welcome back to Draft Night in Smashville here on 102.5 The Game. We are at the BetMGM Sports Lounge inside Bridgestone Arena. Tonight's Predators draft coverage is printed by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works. My name is Max Herz, along with Willy Daunic and Chris Mason. The Predators have selected winger Wyatt Cullen, 10th overall in the NHL Draft, out of the U.S. National Team Development Program. He is committed to the University of Minnesota for college hockey a full year from now. Cullen will turn 18 years old on September the 8th of this year. He could very well be the youngest player selected in the NHL Draft, and he's got all the upside in the world. I don't know, guys. Has there been a time we have been this happy on a consensus with a Predators pick immediately in recent years? This is a big win at 10.
This is a huge win, and I'll have to give Jacob Underwood, the Undertaker, a lot of credit because he's followed the prospects more than anybody throughout the year. He knows the situation going on, and throughout the year, he, even through the development of all these different intangibles, we're talking about Chase Reed and all these different players, McKenna, of where they could fall and where the Predators may end up in the draft. And Wyatt Cullen was always on his list. And as we narrow down, Willie, as you can attest, he was saying that if Figo Bjork goes, Verhoff, I don't know if he was on the list necessarily, but the Predators cannot pass on Wyatt Cullen. They got him, and this is a game changer. This is a game changer type of a player.
You're going to have to be a little patient, I think, before we see him here because he's so young. And as Max just pointed out, I didn't realize this. He's got a whole nother year in the development program before he plays college in theory.
He's going into his senior year of high school in real life terms. All right, here comes pick number 12 from the Devils.
The New Jersey Devils select from Obrero in Sweden, Alexander Kuman.
All right, this is someone we were expecting to hear soon. Alex Command, a Swedish center from Örebro, taken by the Devils. This is, I don't know, probably one of the lesser exciting picks we've had so far. He's more of a defensive-minded size kind of guy. Goes to the Devils at 12. Was someone who the Predators were linked to in pre-draft conversations at 10.
There's a lot of really good Swedish players. They won the gold in the World Juniors. They're loaded.
There's a lot of Swedes in this draft that were high-end talent. And again, it goes back to identifying talent in the leagues that they play in. And this was somebody I know some people on their draft boards had him going to maybe the Predators. I didn't think he was on their board, but New Jersey obviously identified him as a player they want, and they've done these guys do the due diligence. They go over these scouts, and I might add, Dave Westby, who passed away this year, and I'm wearing a pin of him, and we all are, of his commitment to finding these players. And this is the thing I think maybe fans do recognize or don't, but these guys, and I have a lot of ex-teammates that do what Dave did, and they'll go to the rinks in northern Canada. They'll go to Sweden. They'll go to Russia. They'll go to Latvia. They'll go to Slovakia to try to identify the talent that the general manager, Chris McFarland now, Barry Trotz before, David Poyle before, these guys are trusted to bring scouting reports from the body of work that they do. And these guys work their butts off to find these guys. So when you see, in quotations, a diamond in the rough, like Pekka Rinne, who just got inducted in the Hall of Fame, he's one of those guys that these scouts go and identify, and they try to find it. Willie, I heard you talking on the radio show this year, and this is a true story. They went all the way to Finland, the whole scouting staff, or at least 2 or 3 of them, to watch Pekka. He was supposed to play this game, and it was Nick Backstrom,
right,
who was a great goalie for the Minnesota Wild, and he was an unbelievable goalie. He was older than Pekka. Pekka didn't end up playing that game, so the only way that they saw him was in warm-up, and like, this guy's worth a pick in the 7th round.
The 8th round.
The 8th round.
Which doesn't exist anymore.
Which does not exist anymore. So you got to give these guys a lot of credit, and Dave was one of those guys. So we got to give a shout out to those guys for sure for the work they do.
Well, the Predators are due to hit on some picks here. They had a consensus top 5, top 7, depending on what site you look at, but they all have them in that mix, and it's a deep pool that they already had before they made this pick, and they've got a lot more picks coming up this year. But, it's been about a decade or so since they've really hit on a high-end needle mover that they picked themselves. They picked a lot of guys. Like, I think about some of those early John Hines teams with a Tanner Jeannot, an undrafted guy they found, Matthew Olivier, a lower-round pick, Alex Carrier. They've had some good, solid picks, but not a Roman Josi or a UC Saros or a Shea Weber in a good while. And you're hoping that in this deep pool with Brady Martin and Igor Surin and Riker Lee, that you've got some of those guys.
Yeah, and I think a lot of
for the next wave.
Yes, and I think a lot of the fan base, which has a point, is I think the same thing.
Yeah.
You see a lot of the moves lately, in the last 5 or 6 years, the first round picks for the Predators, Phil Tomasino, you have, who we traded this year, Zach LaRue.
Yeah, 2 first rounders from the same draft. LaRue
it goes back, and that's what happens when you pick later in the drafts in the 20s and above. It's a crapshoot. You don't know exactly where you're getting, and it's not unique to the Predators. Every team does this. Usually the first 5 picks are no miss or whatever. They're going to be good players. You have Shane Wright, who's a top 5 pick for the Seattle Kraken they're looking to move him. He hasn't materialized quite the way that he would like as well. And you got to make moves, and you got to move these guys. And I think they've got actually some good return. Ellie Tolvanen, another one, who's a guy that, maybe looking back, you'd like to keep him now or have him on this team with his attributes and his success. But it's a fluid situation, and you have to make decisions. And I don't think they've missed any big ones, traded and maybe not kept.
Right. And there's still, I think, a lot riding on Matt Wood, Tanner Molendijk, those guys. There remains to be seen what they're going to be.
Yeah, I think Matt Wood. That's a
shown
home run as far as I'm concerned. If he can end up playing center, and if he can do what he did at the end of the year and get better, which I expect him to do, that's a home run, because they had no intention of playing him at center, and he is shown to be a cerebral, smart, opportunistic type of a player. He sees the ice. He's got the hockey IQ. That's a guy. He might not be a 1C at the end of the day. I don't think his skating ability allows him to be that player, but he could be. If he's a 2C, he's going to be a heck of a draft pick at where he got drafted.
Matt Wood taken young in the draft as one of the youngest players in college hockey.
Wyatt Cullen.
Yeah, now Wyatt Cullen.
Similar path. Well,
taken 10th overall by the Predators here in the 2026 NHL Draft. We continue on in the first round of the draft. The New York Islanders have picked number 13. As of now, the Predators are done selecting tonight. Things can change, but for now, the Isles at lucky 13.
The Islanders' selection was the player who 1 year ago was the number 1 pick in the draft, had an amazing rookie season, and was the recipient of the Calder, Matthew Schaefer.
How we doing, Buffalo? This place is awesome. I'd like to say, on behalf of the Islanders organization, I'd like to thank the city of Buffalo, the Buffalo Sabres, and the NHL for hosting such an amazing event. I'd like to say hello to all the Islanders fans across the world and all over. And without further ado, with the 13th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the New York Islanders are proud to select from HV 71, Malte Gustafsson.
Another tree. There goes the big defenseman who we talked about, maybe a Pred, but now he is an Islander. 13th overall, Malte Gustafsson, whose older brother Viggo was taken by the Preds in the 3rd round last year. Swedish defenseman to the Islanders at number 13.
Well, this is a player that we thought the Preds might consider, as Willie attested to before, a late bloomer, a big guy. His offensive skill set, really kicked in. And you're talking about a guy that just got Schaefer, who came onto the, in the league this year as an 18-year-old player. And can you imagine the compliment? We've seen Cale Makar and Devon Taves and that dynamic and how dominant they've been. So you have Malte Gustafsson and Schaefer as a pair, looking down the road.
Yeah.
That is something I think the Islanders.
And Schaefer is such a one-man show offensively. That makes it easier for you to say, well, then maybe this guy's not great offensively, but if he is the other side and compliments.
Well, it's like Devon Taves. Like Devon Taves, you never think about as an offensive defenseman. He'll get 10 goals.
Right.
He'll chip in. He will get in the offense, but he complements, Cale Makar as well. Gustafsson's bigger. Gustafsson has more jam to his game. And, he's the type of player, I think, when you're trying to build something as the Islanders, I think they're kind of like the Predators. They've never done the full rebuild. They've always kind of tried to stay in the mix. And I think they got lucky last year with being able to get the first pick in the draft and getting a guy like Nolan Schaefer. But now you have a player like Gustafsson. I mean, this is a team that's a great starting point.
Let's clean up some news and notes here. The Predators took Wyatt Cullen, winger and son of former Pred Matt Cullen, 10th overall in the NHL Draft. We have a big contract extension in the league. Pavel Dorofeev, acquired by the Rangers from the Golden Knights earlier tonight for 2 first-round picks, signs a 7-year contract for $11 million a season with the Rangers starting this
Cost
year.
of doing business, but now there's a guy.
He deserves it, though. He's a goal scorer, man. They wouldn't have got where they were. Every time we played them, he is always on the score sheet. He's one of those guys. He's like a Stamkos or whoever. You put the puck on his stick, he scores goals.
Were you surprised that Vegas didn't find a way to sign him and move something else? I have to believe they didn't want this.
I think they might want something else. I think they've been attached to Connor Hellebuck a little bit. I think they're opening up some avenues.
Dylan Larkin,
but Dorofeev's a younger player, but I give Vegas, I would say Vegas and Florida have the most, I don't know how to say this. Gumption. I'll say that.
So they got these 2 first-round picks for Dorofeev. Do they, like, they never make picks. So you figure they probably might throw these in there.
Well, it's like Tampa.
Throw these in there.
Tampa doesn't make
if it helps them get Hellebuck or something like that, the big fish, they'll do it.
Tampa's strategy has always been, we're going to trade the picks.
Yeah.
Well, you look at the Tanner Jeannot deal. Mm-hmm. They traded 5 picks for Tanner Jeannot, which, whatever, is probably a bad trade in hindsight. But they want to win now. They have a window. They have Mitch Marner. They have Jack Eichel. They have Noah Hannafin. They have all these guys. They have a team that can win now. They want to win a Stanley Cup. So would I make this move as a Nashville Predator? Absolutely not. Would I make it for Vegas? Well, do I want to win the Stanley Cup next year? That's the cost of doing business. You have to make these bold moves. And Vegas has never shied away from that type of a move.
So we are now 15 picks into the 13 picks into the 2026 NHL Draft. The Columbus Blue Jackets are next at number 14. Predators take winger Wyatt Cullen, 10th overall. Here's your full draft recap. Gavin McKenna, number 1 overall to the Maple Leafs. Ivar Stenberg, number 2 overall to the Sharks. Caleb Malhotra, number 3 overall to the Canucks. Daxon Rudolph, 4th overall to Buffalo. Albert Schmitz, 5th to the Rangers. Carson Carroll, 6th to the Flames. Chase Reed to the Kraken at 7. Vigo Bjork to Winnipeg at 8. Keaton Verhoff to the Sharks at 9. Wyatt Cullen to your Nashville Predators at 10. Tynan Lawrence to the St. Louis Blues at 11. Alex Kaman to the Devils at 12. Malte Gustafsson to the Islanders at 13. And the Columbus Blue Jackets at 14 right now.
Select from Boston College, Oscar Hemming.
So Oscar Hemming joins the crew, Boston College player, and he is from Finland. So that is the next pick off the board for the Columbus Blue Jackets, who the big news for them right now is what to do about Zach Werenski, and they have come out today, or they haven't, but Pierre LeBrun reporting today that they are shopping him around just to see what's out there. They're not in a hurry. They don't feel like they have to trade Zach Werenski, but he is the latest of the American-born players that seem to have this trend of, hey, I got some leverage. I'm going to let the team know that I'm probably not going to sign the next contract long-term, so you might want to shop me around, and here's some places I'd be willing to go, trying to use the leverage.
Oscar Hemming, a left wing native of Finland, but just finished his freshman year at Boston College here in American college hockey. He is the 14th overall pick to the Columbus Blue Jackets.
They just traded yesterday, of course, too, for Val Nichushkin, a guy that when he's playing and when he's right is still a force in the league, but he's had some off-ice issues that have cost him a lot of time. He's been in the program. So Colorado moves away from him. They pick him up. So Columbus is a really intriguing team trying to figure out a way to get to a next level. Also, we should tell our listeners, Max, that in the coming minutes, whenever we get a chance to do it, it could happen at any time. We're basically on their schedule, but we hope to be joined by Wyatt Cullen, the Predators pick just a few picks ago. So we're excited to meet young Cullen. I don't know if we met him when he was here, when his dad was playing. It's possible I might have given him a high five in the tunnel somewhere.
There you go.
There's been pictures of him in a Preds uniform standing next to Matt. Brett Pratton tweeted that out, so we'll see what he has to think about that.
The next two picks both belong to the St. Louis Blues at 15 and 16.
Boo.
Wyatt Cullen, 10th overall to the Preds. The 17-year-old winger is coming to Smashville. Back after this, Draft Night in Smashville here on 102.5 The Game. The Nashville Predators take winger Wyatt Cullen 10th overall. This is Draft Night at Smashville on 102.5 The Game, presented by Tennessee Brewworks and the UPS store in Green Hills. Max Herz and Willy Daunic here. And Willie, we have a big trade for a pick on the clock. The Blues are trading 2 of their 4 first-round picks. Pick number 15, which is on the clock right now, and the 29th overall pick. According to Elliot Friedman, they're trading those 2 first-round picks to the Ducks for Mason McTavish to the Blues.
There's a number of players in their mid-20s that, for one reason or another, were high-rated prospects but are available in trade because they're not quite finding their role in their current place. They need a change of scenery, or there's a cap issue. And for all those reasons, McTavish was one of those guys on the list. He actually got healthy scratched a couple of times, as talented as he is, because the Ducks have so many young forwards. So they were looking to maybe move off from him. So this is a really creative move by the Blues, who are a little bit like the Predators. They've been good. They haven't been really bad. They don't want to do the full rebuild, so they're having to do a creative way of reloading to get back up into the upper echelon. And this is a bold move, taking the 4 draft picks that they moved on from Kyrou. They got some draft capital, and they turned it into Mason McTavish, who that could work out really big for them because he's going to have a chance to play a big role for St. Louis.
Well, those picks, actually the 2 they traded, those weren't even from Kyrou. They were both from the trade deadline this year. One for Braden Shen and one for Justin Falk. So
yeah,
I'd say good trade for the Blues. They get, for the 15th and 29th overall pick, Mason McTavish, and that pick is on the clock right now and clearly being held up for that trade announcement.
Right. And they got, and remember, they did pick the 11th pick, Tynan Lawrence, so they got another high prospect that they hope will be in the mix as well someday.
While the Blues and Ducks trade, we are proud to bring in our two friends and Preds alumni, JP Dumont and Jay Moore, here at the Preds draft party. Gentlemen, great to see you. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you, Max. This is an exciting night. The crowd is amazing, and everybody's fired up for the 10th overall pick, Cullen.
Well, Jay's just excited. They're cheering for the 10th overall pick. He thinks it's him. He thinks it's 1987. 10th overall.
I'm living in the past. You're right. You can tell by my mullet I've still got. And JP's got no hair. So I'm not
throwing
sure.
him under the bus. Well, JP, you have some special insight into Predators' first-round pick, Wyatt Cullen.
Yeah. When I was done playing for the Preds, was involved with youth hockey, and Wyatt was skating at A game back in Cool Springs, so that was pretty cool to see a kid that play here. Obviously, when his dad was playing for the Preds, he was playing minor hockey here for a while, so that's pretty cool to see. The bloodline keep going here in Nashville, so that was awesome.
Could you notice anything about him that far back?
Seriously, it was just like his hockey skill, right? Because everybody thought about, is that playing the NHL? That's why, he was thinking the game already at that age. That's something that I'm amazed by, what's going on this year, with this draft pick, is that his hockey IQ, the way that he sees the ice and he wants to make play. I had a chance to watch him a lot, not live, obviously. I didn't get lucky enough this year, but to watch highlights and, watch a lot of his accomplishment on the ice, and his hockey IQ is to the roof.
That's really good to hear. So what do you guys value, just knowing hockey the way you guys do? We talk about all these kids. They're all 18 years old. They're playing all over the world, some already in professional leagues, some against guys their own age, some in college. So what traits do you guys value more than others? We know these guys are all talented in some way.
I think it's work ethic. JP mentioned the hockey IQ and the compete. There are three things that really stand out initially for me. JP, you're still coaching these young kids. You can relate to them. What is it that stands out for you?
Yeah, it's definitely like you mentioned, the compete, right? I mean, it's not coming easily anymore, right? I mean, but a kid like Cullen, that his dad played, and it was all out all the time, right? Matt was that kind of player that always bringing it night in and night out. So he watches that play, and he has that work ethic. But like I said, to me, about him, it's literally the way that he sees the game. He wants to make plays when he has the puck. It's not a dump and chase. He wants to make plays.
And you're right, and Willie, that's something that you cannot teach. It's not a teachable skill. It's these kids are in the dressing room. They're following their dad around. They come to practice, and that's a hard skill to come by. So you look at a lot of these former NHL players. Their kids are drafted, or they're already. You look at the Kachucks and Josh Manson, and I'm just thinking of guys that I played with in the past. Those kids were in the dressing room all the time. Every morning they were in there, and they pick up on the little details of the game, which is very hard to teach.
Yeah, they're pro at 13 years old. They're being around professional hockey players, so they have that pro code ethic, right? They're ready to go.
That is something that I'm sure is a really valuable skill to have at that age. Because I think this is a good question for anybody who look back at their 18-year-old selves. You guys both got picked. You were excited, but there's that. You still have a long way to go, right? There's still a long road to hoe between where they are today, where it's really exciting. Everybody's patting you on the back. You're a first-round pick, and then making it happen at the highest level. So if you could go back and give yourself advice when you're 18, what would you tell yourself? Because you think you know everything back then, but you obviously don't.
Well, it's different now, obviously, right? The kids are a little bit more ready than we were back then. I was when I got drafted in '96, I was third overall, and I went back junior 2 more years after that. You know what I mean? Like it's I thought I was ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like especially like it's a funny story about I'm old. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so my first training camp, I remember getting there and. I just finished like my junior camp, right? So I go to the New York Islanders training camp, and those guys back then, like they didn't even bring their bags with them during the summer. Like, you know what I mean? Like there was no really training camp was to get in shape.
Yeah.
It was like almost like 6-7 weeks long, right? So the first few days on the ice, I'm calling my parents like, oh my God, I'm gonna kill it this year. Like I'm flying, right? I'm flying all there. They couldn't even chase me. Like, and like a week later, like they started to get their game back, and I'm like, whoa, you know, I'm just a kid now. Like, but my first 2 days, I thought I was like, oh man, I'm gonna kill it.
I thought you had an eight. Yeah.
Eventually, one of the veterans comes by, and they're like, "Okay, kids, slow down."
It's like you're not making the team on the first day, kiddo.
Yeah,
I heard that a lot.
Down. So
Yeah,
you're right. The game, JP, has changed. These kids all know each other, like from all around the world.
The international tournaments and such.
Yeah, they've played against each other. Social media, they're very connected. So it's a lot different now than obviously when we played.
Well, gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Tonight seems like a big win for the Preds, and it's so awesome to have a new connection to the Preds alumni. Wyatt Cullen, son of Matt Cullen, 10th overall.
Yeah, we definitely take his dad back, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll fit into the Preds family very well. They're already part of it, but this just extends it even more.
Great stuff. Jay Moore and JP Dumont, Preds alumni, our friends and fellow Preds broadcasters here on 102.5 The Game. Predators take Wyatt Cullen with the 10th overall pick in the NHL Draft, son of former Pred Matt Cullen. We'll be back with the second half of the first round coming up next. This is Draft Night in Smashville, presented by UPS Store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back to Draft Night in Smashville here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Tonight's draft coverage is presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works. My name is Max Herz, along with Willy Daunic from Preds TV and Preds Radio. The Preds have made their selection at 10th overall. Winger Wyatt Cullen is the Predators' pick, and he is on the phone with us from the NHL Draft in Buffalo right now. Wyatt, thanks so much for joining us, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
What is this moment like for you and your family?
It's really special. I mean, something I've dreamed of my whole life, and to have my family here with me too. It's unbelievable and something I'll never forget.
You were a young kid living in Nashville when you were 4 or 5 years old when your dad played here. What does it mean to get drafted to a place you know and love?
It means everything. On my list, I'm my number one pick if I had to pick to get drafted.
Wyatt, congratulations. Chris Mason here. I actually played with your dad in Cincinnati. It was our first year pro together. And I will tell you this, your dad is one of the most amazing human beings I ever played with. He's had such a great career.
Yeah.
What impact has he had on your career?
Just everything. He moved to Michigan with me this year, helped me out with my draft year, and that was pretty special. It gives me so many happy ideas, and just to be a good person and be a good man. So I think having my dad is unbelievable, and I'm so grateful for it.
Wyatt, there's a great picture that our colleague Brooks Bratton tweeted out of you standing on the ice in a full Predators uniform as a youngster next to your dad. Do you have a recollection of that? Like, do you remember that night just being out on the ice? We're having a little issue with here, Wyatt.
I think he did.
Well, he's breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure if he's probably underneath the stands at the arena and stuff.
He's probably blacked out right now. When you get drafted and it actually happens, you put the jersey on.
I don't know if maybe we could get a better connection in a second here. Maybe we can put him on hold back at the studio and see if we can get him in a better spot so we can hear him. But certainly exciting to talk to him. We got all these memories. Okay, yeah. Let's see if maybe he can get it to a better spot. But just to go a little further, Matt Cullen was picked up by the Predators. I think he was a free agent, if I remember correctly. His first year with Nashville was the last year that Barry Trotz coached for the Predators. And then he was on the early Peter Laviolette teams.
Yeah.
Not the one that went to the Stanley Cup final. Ironically, he was on the Pittsburgh Penguins, who won the Cup against the Predators that year. But Matt Cullen had, I think, 3 really solid seasons as a Pred.
He was always a player that you'd want on your team. He was the most dependable. You could put him in any situation. He had offensive skill. He was a great, effortless skater. He was the ultimate team player. And I think when you look at Wyatt Cullen, you're getting those attributes, and you're probably getting more offensive upside. And Matt Cullen, early in his career, he could score. He could do all these things. He could penalty kill. He could do all the things that you needed a player to do. I think when you get a guy like Wyatt Cullen with his lineage and his development, I mean, you're getting a guy, and this is, to me, was a pick that I just did not want them to pass up. Getting a player like that with his father, the way that Wyatt plays the game, and all these intangibles that he brings to the table. And I think this is a steal, especially given his age. Had he been born a month later, he's in next year's draft, and he's probably, you're talking about a top 5 pick.
All right,
So,
let's
we
see
got
if
Wyatt back.
Let's see if we've got 10th overall pick Wyatt Cullen back on the phone. Wyatt, can you hear us okay now?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
We heard you say the Predators were your number 1 choice. Why was that the case?
Like I said, my dad. Obviously, the best option.
Did we lose him again?
We lost him again.
Well,
too much phone
I think he
trouble.
was alluding to when.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you now, Wyatt.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it keeps glitching out. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Just being with my dad at the rink, that was some special memories I had, and like I said, I'm just super grateful to be drafted here. It's kind of, they were my number one team at the start. So, yeah, it's so grateful.
I mean, that's the best opportunity. I think when you have, affinity. I grew up as a Calgary Flames fan, and you have an attachment to an organization.
Yeah.
And Wyatt, when you look at opportunity, I mean, you look at the depth charts, you look at where this team is going, the age brackets and things like that, and what they're, where they're going as an organization. I mean, you fit. Where do you see your path from here? You have another year of, I think, U.S. development. Where do you see your kind of range going from here after the draft on?
Yeah, I'm going to the University of Minnesota this next year, so I'm super excited for that. I think it'll either be 1 or 2 years, and then hopefully be ready to make the jump to the NFL. And I think I'll have a really big impact with Nashville. I think I'll play a big role for the team, and I'm super excited to get started. So,
why when you play on the U.S. development team, as we've seen now, there's so much pride in playing for USA Hockey.
Yeah.
You got the gold medal and things like that, and a lot of guys have gone on to play college hockey.
Yeah.
You're certainly familiar with it with Minnesota and the pedigree and heritage of so many great players that come from there. How excited are you to play for the Gophers this coming year?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I've been a little kid, and I had the opportunity to play with my brother too this year. So I'm so exciting. The coaching staff, we are done for 3 weeks, and teammates and all that, and team bonding. So that was really fun, and I'm just super excited to go back in the fall and get started. So.
Wyatt, you shot up the draft boards with a great season for the national team. What would you have thought a year ago today if you were told that you were going to be the 10th overall pick in the draft?
I wouldn't have believed it. Started my goal was just to be a first year. I definitely it's just a credit to my family. Everyone helped me along the way. I had some ups and downs, and it's just super special. My family did. So yeah.
Incredible. Well, congratulations, Wyatt. We will see you in Nashville in the next couple days and on the ice at development camp next week.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Wyatt. That is Wyatt Cullen, the 10th overall pick of your Nashville Predators, headed to the University of Minnesota. My bad, Mace. I gave you bad info. He's going this year. That's
okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I know he had another.
It's actually better. I think
that's actually better because you're going to play against better competition, and he's going to get to play with his brother, who is also a very good player. I think so.
And they're going to get to go in as freshmen together, even though Brooks is a couple years older than him.
Yeah, but it's
that's kind of the strategy these days. Sometimes for guys who maybe aren't as high end, you wait, and go in as a freshman as a little older, and you can be more effective. Yeah.
And now you have more options to do that because you could play major junior, which is the Western Hockey League or OHL or Q,
or the USHL.
Yeah, and then you could still transfer over. So that's a good thing, and it's a good kid. I know we couldn't hear him quite, clearly.
When you're in an arena, cell phone,
you could tell that his excitement, and for him to say that this was his first choice, and I think we were all kind of identifying him that we hoped he'd be here. And I knew there might have to be some tough decisions depending on who was available. But this is a player that I think, given this year, the way that he skyrocketed up and the way that he improved and got on the, the top 10 draft boards and all these types of things with his pedigree is probably the best pick, given the players that were available that the Preds could have taken.
Through the years, Mace, we've had some opportunities to interview the draft pick right after he's picked, the wide-eyed 18-year-old. We tried to get Yaroslav Askarov.
We've had some challenges, Russia, haven't we?
He could barely speak English, and his interpreter was trying to help out, and that didn't go very well. I remember there's so many times I've asked somebody, have you ever been to Nashville? But we already knew the answer to that with Wyatt Cullen.
They're like, oh, I love country music.
Yeah.
No, he's like, I lived here.
He got drafted by Luke Bryan, who we found out had a show in Buffalo 45 minutes from the time the Preds were picking.
Yeah.
And showed up to announce the Preds pick. That's pretty cool. Shout out Luke Bryan. Some of these other teams have had celebrities.
Or did he get paid? That's what I want to know. Did you get paid to go there? Or
free $99.
Free $99. You get to go to Buffalo in the summer, which is a good time to go, I guess. But great pick by the Predators. I think this is everyone's excited. I went down on the floor, and everybody was excited that Wyatt Cullen is a Nashville Predator. So I think that was an organizational need of somebody with his skill set. You could have went defense. I think if Verhoff had have slid, there might have been a little bit of a decision, but I think Wyatt Collin was a great pick.
And now I think the questions will start happening. Of course, they've got to do the rest of the draft. They got a lot of picks that they still got to make. Remember, just go down the list. Roman Josi, Shea Weber, Craig Smith, UC Saros, Matthias Ekholm, Victor Arvidsson. None of them first-round picks. Pekka Rinne, 8th-round pick.
Yeah, Patrick Hornquist.
Right, Patrick Hornquist. So you can get key players not in the first round, which is important.
Yeah.
And
I think
they need some of
wise,
those.
You can get that later. Guys, defensemen, it's always goalies and defensemen that develop later. I think offensive forwards that have those intangibles, you might hit a diamond in the rough later in the draft. Someone like Jason Robertson, who was the second-round pick. That doesn't happen all the time. You might get a guy that's obviously in the headlines now, but more often than not, you can get the defensive type of players that I think the Predators need to stock those cupboards as well.
In the last 20 minutes, we've been talking about the Preds. There have only been 2 picks that have happened.
Really?
Because we've had 2 big trades.
Wow.
The Blues traded to get Mason McTavish from the Ducks. So the Ducks went at pick 15. They also got pick 29 in that trade.
Wow.
The Ducks at 15th overall took Nikita Klepov, a right winger from Saginaw in the OHL. And then at 16th overall, the Blues, with their second of now just 2 picks, they came in with 4, traded 2 of them for Mason McTavish. 4 first-rounders tonight. They took Maddox Danier from the Quebec Remparts, a 6'4" center. The Mammoth were supposed to pick 17th. They just traded that pick to the Kings for 19 and a third-rounder. So the Kings move up 2 spots just for a third-rounder.
Wow, you don't
and are
see
now
that
on the
much.
clock at 17.
And the most intriguing thing, now that the Predators have made their pick, and they won't pick again for a while, is all of the scuttlebutt with these trades. Here's the latest one.
Oh, sorry, I got this one backwards. Utah moved up from 19 to 17.
Utah has more picks than they can use.
Utah is on the clock now.
Utah's a team to watch out here in the next.
Oh, boy.
As San Jose. I think Anaheim's a little bit behind them in terms of if you're looking at the next 5 years, but Utah and San Jose, I mean, these guys, they're ready. They're ready to pop.
And now with Chris McFarland, he's made the 2 moves with his former team, the Avs, to get Ross Colton and Jack Drury. Here's one from Kevin Weeks that's going to have some people buzzing, because this is right on the heels of the story of they're going to have to listen to some stuff for Zach Werenski. They don't want to trade Zach Werenski. He's their franchise guy, but Werenski's given them signals that he's not going to stay there long term. And now Kirill Marchenko, a guy that is a really high-end, skilled guy, maybe a little bit off the radar because he plays in Columbus. He's Russian. He's told them, as of now, and this is carefully worded by Kevin Weeks, as of now, he's unlikely to re-sign with the Blue Jackets. In other words, as of now, but is that another guy to keep your eye on?
There's a lot of
trades.
There's a shift.
He can score.
He can score, and he's a dynamic player.
Yes.
We don't play Columbus as much as we used to, obviously, but every time I feel we play Columbus, Kirill Marchenko is one of those guys that is an impact guy. He's not a common guy in the league, and you have a lot of appeal. And I guess it depends on the direction that Columbus would want to go. I feel like he's a guy that would be prime for a rebuild in Columbus. But if you have a player that doesn't want to play there, and this is the thing that is tough now, because you have Dylan Larkin come out. This is the other thing. I don't think Marchenko has trade protection.
I don't believe so, no.
But once that comes out, it makes it a little more difficult. But at the end of the day, the club has said, well, we can't trade you. You're going to play here. So you got to do what you got to do. But he can get a haul. He is a talent.
And that's really not what Columbus wants to do for futures. They want to win now. They've been desperate to try to win, and Marchenko is helping them. Marchenko has 1 year left on his deal at 3.85, and then he's a restricted free agent. So that'll be an interesting one. Put him in the camp of what we just saw with Mason McTavish. I think it'll be a similar type of haul to get Marchenko, who is really talented, and he's at that age everybody wants. He's 25. He's developed. He's had success in the league, and he's got a long way to go. So with McFarland, I'm really curious. What you haven't heard anything about at this draft, and there's all kinds of rumors swirling around like this one, You haven't heard, hey, the Predators are shopping Ryan O'Reilly around, or they've gone to Steven State. You haven't heard any of that. You've heard Chris McFarland say, we're going to see how the season unfolds and go from there. You haven't even heard anything like Marchessault, not on the national front at all.
And I think Nashville is one of those teams, kind of like Columbus. You hear this stuff after, like Toronto is like, well, they might not take Gavin McKinnon. They might trade this pick, whatever the situation. But with Nashville, I think they may entertain. They're not going to jump to trade these type of players. And Chris McFarland, he said he's going to do an evaluation of the coaching staff at the start of the season, which is a smart move. See what's going on. These guys, if you're talking about Ryan O'Reilly, let's say that's a player that I think is their probably biggest chip that they could get the most for in terms of the value that he'll bring in terms of his salary to another team and get the most return. And then the dominoes fall from there. If the Predators decide to eventually do that, does Steven Stamkos want to be here? Probably not. He wants to win, so that's another player. He's making $8 million a year. He scored 40 some odd goals this year. That's a player that
$8 million already somehow seems cheap.
I know. When you're talking Jason Robertson, you're talking those numbers. That's half.
So Max, there's a lot riding on the first 15 or 20 games, and of course, that's the one thing that's been consistent for Andrew Burnett's teams is they've gotten off to shaky starts all three of the years.
That's my big question.
So they have got to get out of the gate fast if the players and the coaching staff want to have a season where they're trying to make the playoffs. If not, if the path is to go the other way, that's destiny, I guess.
But that is the thing for me is you think of the most optimal time to trade players. It's now, before the draft, and the trade deadline. So I always feel like last year everyone's like they got off to a bad start. Oh, Stamkos, are they going to trade Stamkos? Yeah. I don't think you're going to get the same value unless you hold on to these players. But especially because Stamkos got off to such a slow start, where you're going to trade him at his lowest value. But they could have traded him. Thank goodness they didn't. But you could have traded him at the trade deadline at his highest value when he was lighting up the league and he was the top goal scorer in the last 30 days at that point. And this is something I think is a smart decision for Chris McFarland is let's see how they're going to do at the beginning of the year, which the Predators and this group of players that we have now have not done in the last 2 years. They were one of the best teams in the second half of the season last year. But we've known now that the games in October mean just as much as the games in April.
Now, here's an interesting pick, Max, right now. Ethan Belchets. I can see why Utah felt the need to move up a couple spots because Belchets, who just got picked, and what number are they on right now, Max? 17?
He was a guy, top 10-ish.
They had
type of a player.
Him linked to the Predators at 10 in some of the mock drafts that I saw, and he's still sitting there at 17. So Utah, who has tons of draft capital, already has a lot of pieces. They're like, why don't we just go take this guy? This is the guy we want.
Belchez is 6'5" tall, 230 pounds from the Windsor Spitfires, big winger, going to Michigan State to be part of that star-studded group next year. They've already had 3 of their commits taken in the first 17 picks tonight to go with a returning crop, including Riker Lee, that already has a lot of first-rounders up in East Lansing.
You can't get these guys. These guys don't grow on trees. The 6'5", the physical, offensive.
This guy is a house. Look at this guy.
Tom Wilson type of a player. I don't know his physicality aspect of it. College doesn't really allow for that. I don't think the way that they play. But, I mean, this kid's 18. He's playing against 24, 25-year-olds. I mean, this is a no-brainer. I mean, Utah right now is killing it in terms of the –
Scary good.
In terms of the players they have on their current roster and now their prospects of what they could do to build, they're in a win now, I think, as a young team. As San Jose is not that far. They almost made it. They're not quite there, but they will be there.
All right, let's take a break here. We are 17 picks into the NHL draft. The Predators took winger Wyatt Cullen at 10th overall. We'll hang around for a little bit longer, see if there's any trades back in for the Preds, who as of now are done for the night. They will have 10 picks tomorrow when the rest of the draft will be completed beginning at 10 a.m. They will have picks 42 and 57 in the second round. 2 second-round picks for the Preds tomorrow to get us started. Wyatt Cullen taking 10th overall for the Preds. We'll continue the conversation coming up next. You are listening to Draft Night in Smashville, presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works here on 102.5 The Game. Some of my friends are crazy about it. Welcome back to Draft Night in Smashville here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. We are presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works here tonight. We are now 17 picks into the NHL Draft. The Predators select winger Wyatt Cullen, 10th overall out of the United States National Team Development Program, son of former Pred Matt Cullen. He's headed to the University of Minnesota to begin college hockey this fall. His older brother Brooks will be going with him, and dad Matt will be the Gophers' Director of Player Development this year after serving in that capacity for NHL organizations recently, including the Pittsburgh Penguins for 5 seasons. He was also a youth coach this year for Honey Baked up in Michigan. The Cullen family is coming back to Smashville. Pretty cool. Wyatt Cullen, the 10th overall pick for the Preds. We will go back to Buffalo and talk with Preds team reporter Brooks Bratton coming up next. But first, your full recap of the draft so far. The first overall pick from the Toronto Maple Leafs, forward Gavin McKenna. The second overall pick, the San Jose Sharks, winger Ivar Stenberg. The third overall pick from the Vancouver Canucks, son of their head coach, center Caleb Malhotra. The next 4 picks at 4 through 7 were all defensemen. The Buffalo Sabres took defenseman Daxon Rudolph, surprisingly, up first. 5th overall, the Rangers took defenseman Albert Schmitz. 6th overall, the Flames took defenseman Carson Carrolls. 7th overall, the Kraken took defenseman Chase Reed. 8th overall, the Jets took center Vigo Bjork. 9th overall, the Sharks got defenseman Keaton Verhoff with their second pick. Then at 10 overall, the Predators took winger Wyatt Cullen. Then 11th, the Blues took center Tynan Lawrence. 12th, the Devils took center Alex Command. 13th, the Islanders took defenseman Malte Gustafsson. Choosing 14th, the Blue Jackets took winger Oscar Hemming. 15th, the Ducks took winger Nikita Klepov. 16th, the Blues took center Maddox Danier. 17th, the Mammoth took Ethan Belchet. And 18th, the Capitals took center Oliver Suvanto. We will call up to Buffalo and talk with Preds team reporter Brooks Bratton coming up next. Predators take winger Wyatt Cullen, 10th overall in the NHL Draft tonight as the first round continues and the Preds picking, at least for the moment, is done for the night. You're listening to Draft Night in Smashville, presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works here on 102.5 The Game. Welcome back to Draft Night in Smashville, presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works. The party rolls on as we get into the back half of the first round here at the BetMGM Sports Lounge at Bridgestone Arena. My name is Max Herz, along with Willy Daunic and Chris Mason. The Preds pick 10th overall and take winger Wyatt Cullen from the U.S. National Team Development Program. And Predators team reporter Brooks Bratton is in Buffalo and was part of the press conference with Wyatt Cullen. Brooks, this one we seem to agree back here on the home front. Seems to be like a big win for the Preds at 10th overall.
Well, 100%. I would definitely agree with that, Mac. And I have to admit that for the first time in my career, I feel old because not only have I talked to Wyatt Cullen, but I just spoke to his dad, Matt, of course, a former Nashville Predator. And I think that's the first time I've ever interviewed the son and then the father, kind of back to back. So that was a bit of a full circle moment. But yeah, what a moment for the Cullen family, and a lot of excitement for not only what he could potentially be as a player, but as a person as well. I just think that this is a great pick for the Predators.
Brooks, you're up there in Buffalo. The league went to this new format of the teams are not all on site on the floor like they have been traditionally, but there's a lot of flavor going on. Did you get a chance to meet Justin Bieber or Luke Bryan when you were there?
No, but I was probably like 20 or 30 feet away from Justin Bieber when he was walking out. So that was kind of cool. And then, yeah, I mean, Luke Bryan, like, very much a Nashville kind of moment. He just happens to be here in Buffalo tonight playing a concert. And I heard that he rode a golf cart over, I think he's at the baseball stadium or at another theater, and he rode a golf cart, allegedly, over to the arena, got on stage, made the pick, and I imagine that he's probably performing by now. So a very, very Nashville moment for sure. But I don't think Wyatt Cullen was expecting to meet Luke Bryan tonight either. So a lot of cool moments.
Yeah, it's good for Luke that he had an easy name to pronounce. He didn't have to memorize or say it a few times if it was somebody from halfway around the globe.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Brooksy, it's Mace here. Just I'm sure you're enjoying all the culinary offerings that Buffalo has in there, as I know that you do, the red wine and the food. But what was it like? We talked to Wyatt a little bit on the radio. We couldn't quite hear everything he was saying, but they were talking about how Nashville was the place they wanted to go. And, going in this draft, I'm thinking, I hope we get Wyatt Cullen, to your point earlier of, Matt, Wyatt now. What was that like? And what was Matt's reaction to Wyatt getting drafted by the Preds?
Yeah, well, first off, I went to Chef's last night. I know that you know that, Mace, which
we all do.
Spot. We all know Chef's. No, that was fantastic. It was my birthday yesterday, so it was a good birthday dinner. Yeah, I mean, for them, I think, like, I asked Wyatt if he remembers. I put out the picture of him and Matt and Brooks and Joey on the blue line before a game for the national anthem. And, Wyatt said he doesn't remember a ton about that moment, but just great memories of being in Nashville. And, I just think that Wyatt is super pumped to obviously go to any organization, but an organization that the family has familiarity with, that there's a little bit of a connection there, obviously. And then talking to Matt, I mean, one, I'm sure you guys can only imagine the pride of a father seeing his son get drafted into the NHL. But not only that, to do so with an organization that he played for 2 years. I was just upstairs talking to Matt, and tens, and he was recalling an ice storm, not like the one that we had recently, but an ice storm back then that he said the cul-de-sac froze over and the kids were out there skating around, and there were guys like Mike Fisher would come over to the house and hang out, and the boys were around the locker room all the time. And as a dad, when you're a player, this is the kinds of things that you do, and you don't necessarily expect that it's going to turn into this. But for this moment to come, and for Matt to see Wyatt go to a team that he played for, just an immense sense of pride. And he said that his wife, Bridget, is already talking about who can we go live with, who can we move in with down there in Nashville and get back and hang out when Wyatt's down there. So really, really excited for the Cullen family to have that kind of Nashville connection again and have a reason to go back down there a little more often.
It is exciting to think about, perhaps, Wyatt Cullen getting a chance to play NHL games with Philip Forsberg and Roman Josi, and Roman and Phil played with Matt.
Yeah.
But when they were younger players, that's a really cool thing to think about. Brooks, one of the things that just blew us away, just looking at Wyatt's backstory, last year they listed him at 5'8", 146, and now he's 6'1", 176, and who knows? He's probably got a lot of growing, at least physically, developmental-wise, maybe not as much height at this point, but that growth spurt really helped him also move up as a prospect.
yeah, literally and figuratively, right? He sprung up the leaderboard in that way, and I think that's something that you hear or you see the reports from scouts here in the last little bit, and that's what excites them. Not only the growth spurt that he had and the size that he now has on his frame, but he was injured earlier in the year, and when he did come back from injury, he just got better and better as the season went on, and he has said that he feels like if the season would have even been a couple of months more, he would have been even better. And I think that that's the exciting thing is everybody believes that there's a really high ceiling there. Like, yeah, he's already a really good player. Obviously, he's a top 10 draft pick, but I think the feeling is that there's a lot more there. And as he goes to the University of Minnesota next season, he's going to get a fantastic opportunity to play with one of the great college hockey organizations. His dad, Matt, has actually just joined the team as well on the player development side. So another little connection there for father and son. But yeah, I just think that the Preds see a ton of potential, obviously, in Wyatt Cullen. And, you talk about a guy like Riker Lee. Wyatt was just asked about him, and he's like, yeah, it's tough to play against him because he's so shifty and crafty. But, those are two guys that in a couple of years' time could end up playing together. So he said he's looking forward to meeting a guy like that. And again, I just think that for Wyatt Cullen, for what he did this year at the National Team Development Program, and the fact that he's going to go play college hockey with the other best players in that realm in the country, I just think is only good for his development. And, just very excited for what could be to come with him.
Brooks, thanks for taking the time. Enjoy what's going to be a crazy day 2 tomorrow. Preds have 10 picks tomorrow. Do we think we're definitely done for tonight? Do we know that for sure, or we're waiting and seeing?
We don't know that for sure, but I have not heard anything that would lead me to believe that there's anything else coming. I mean, never say never, but I'm hoping it's a little quiet the rest of the night because, like you said, I think tomorrow we're going to be running around. The draft starts at 11, and we have a flight at 4:30, so it's going to be a bit of a whirlwind tomorrow, but that's what we do at the draft. And like you said, it's just an exciting time to add a bunch of kids here, and we'll see what the Preds can do tomorrow as well. But certainly one heck of a start here tonight.
All right. Enjoy it. Thanks, Brooks.
Happy belated birthday, by the way, Brooksy.
Yes, happy birthday.
Thanks, Chance. I appreciate it. Have a great night.
That is Brooks Bratton, Predators team reporter. We are 20 picks into the NHL draft. Predators took Wyatt Cullen at 10. I think 1 through 10 went faster than 11 through 20.
No question about it.
We just got pick 20. We had some trades that really slowed down our clock. Picks to update you on. The Kings took winger Elton Hermansson, 19th overall from Sweden, and Modo. That was the 19th overall pick.
Sweden.
Then 20th overall, the Sabres took center Ilya Morozov from Miami University by way of Russia. So we still have 12 picks left in this first round.
It's crazy. I would say it's not likely that the Predators would move up.
No.
I think you just keep what you got. And I think they still will have the right. In fact, in our last segment, maybe we can look at the depth chart as it is and just kind of see what we think might be out there. Maybe not specifically, but where the need might be, where Chris McFarland might be looking to try to improve the team. As he kind of said, I don't know if he used the term on the margins, but he was like, if any places we can look better, he feels like, and only time will tell, that he's upgraded with Ross Colton and Jack Drury, exchanged basically in the short term for Fedor Svechkov and Zach LaRue.
Yeah.
We'll see where the ceiling is for
And Eric
LaRue and
Holla.
Svechkov.
Eric Holla is a guy they feel that Drury could replace. I think
Yes.
Holla's supposedly going to test the free agency market.
Right.
But you're going to have to re-sign Drury now, I think,
Right.
which could
And
be, we don't know what that number is going to be because
It's going to be high.
the numbers are a lot higher than we're
Yes.
used to.
It's going to
for that
shock you.
type of a player. Well,
Yeah.
look at Michael McCarron, what he got.
Yep.
That was not even close to what the Predators were offering when he was still a Nashville Predator. So could be a little bit of sticker shock there, but he's in the age bracket where the Predators desperately needed to fill.
Predators take Wyatt Cullen, 10th overall in the NHL draft. More to come after this. This is Draft Night in Smashville on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back to Draft Night in Smashville, presented by the UPS store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brew Works. Thanks so much to our great sponsors. Thanks to everybody who came out tonight at the Preds watch party. Made it on ESPN during the draft show. Shout out to ESPN for putting a camera up here in the BetMGM. I think only a couple of teams got their draft parties shown, and we were one of them. It was nuts in here after the Predators took winger Wyatt Cullen, 10th overall, son of former Pred Matt Cullen. It's a great story. It's time for Wyatt Cullen to go out there and make a name for himself, starting at Preds development camp this week. This is a player with a lot of upside and offensive skill, one of the youngest players in the draft. He won't turn 18 for another month and a half, Willie.
Isn't that something? He's not even 18. That is crazy. And he will be a very young freshman, especially given the fact he's young, even for a, quote, regular college freshman. But in this day and age of college sports, where a lot of kids try to enter college as late as they can as freshmen because it starts the clock a little bit later and you tend to have an advantage if you're a little bit older, especially now with the COVID rules that also seem to age rosters a lot. He will be very young playing against older guys, similar to Matt Wood when he was a freshman at UConn. So all that to say, I think Wyatt Cullen is a guy that's probably a couple of years away realistically from making an impact at the NHL level. You never know when you could get him a game here or there or when he will sign the pro contract. But it's an exciting pick, no question about it. And so looking at where things stand now, we have not heard from Chris McFarland yet. I don't know if he's going to address the media before the end of this first round. I'm sure he'll be excited to tell people about Wyatt Cullen. But in just listening to him, Max, I think we're all intrigued about where else could he maybe be looking at to improve the roster. And so let's just look at what they have right now under contract. At the forward spot, you've got in some form, right? We know the line combinations will shuffle. I mean, here we are in June, right? So if it's opening night, this is right. It could be different the second game of the season. But let's just say Philip Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, and Luke Evangelista are on the top line. Steven Stamkos, let's go with Matt Wood, and let's go with Jonathan Marchessault as a second line. Then you've got, in some combination, on a third line, potentially, Ross Colton, Jack Drury, Joachim Kemmel, and then let's say the bottom three are Reed Schaefer. Let's pencil in a Brady Martin as, let's see what he is. Don't know if he's going to be ready to play every night in the NHL, but they'll probably give him a look. We still don't know what the rule is, whether he'll be allowed to play in Milwaukee yet. If they determine that, I keep hearing that's going to be the case.
I don't think it's official, but it seems everything but.
You would hope in a perfect world that he could play some games in Nashville, but also get some development time for Milwaukee. And then let's go with Ozzy Weisblatt. Then after that, you've got, to me, the biggest wild card of everything is a guy that they signed even before they hired Chris McFarland. And then, we haven't heard anything from him. We haven't seen him play. But they signed a player out of the KHL named Vitaly Pinchuk. And I wonder where they visualize him on the roster. Because Ross Colton, we know, can play wing or center. And we know that, they've got some other guys that are versatile. But Pinchuk has played center in his career. I don't know if they envision him playing center this year for the Predators or on the wing or anywhere.
Yeah.
What have you heard about him? Yeah, you love those Russian players. Marchenko's your favorite player. Or no, not Marchenko. Who's your
Kuzmenko.
Kuzmenko.
Free agent.
Yeah.
Could he be headed to Smashville?
Well,
start the rumor right now.
Well, they always say that, they want you to, like with Russian players, it helps when you have multiple Russians and not just one. I always remember, I remember feeling bad for Yakov Trenin as the only Russian player on the team for a while. So I'm wondering what they envision there. And then they've got a next wave of prospects that probably aren't ready to make a big impact. So there's room to add another veteran or two. So then there's the defense, where I heard Chris McFarland saying in pretty good detail at the press conference leading up to the draft that he would like to take a look and maybe make a similar type of move there to add somebody to the mix of Roman Josi, Brady Shea, Nick Perbix, Nick Hague, Adam Wilsby, Ryan Ufko. Those are the six right now. We also don't know what they plan to do with Justin Barron, who's a restricted free agent. They could bring him back or not bring him back. and then see who else is out there. But I don't think that will stay. I think there will be changes in both as we sit here today between now and the start of training camp.
Agreed, but I don't hate that group. I don't hate that group at all. I think Drury and Colton are very logical fits who will eat valuable minutes in the middle of the Preds lineup. And I don't think you sacrifice too much, at least for next year, with LaRue and Svechkov going away.
Well, I think the net result, you certainly get guys who are older and way more established and have put up better production. And it's not even close between Colton/Drury versus Svechkov and LaRue. As much as we've loved flashing of Svechkov and LaRue, they're far from finished products. But both Colton and Drury have been established players in the league for a long time and also are both not in their 30s yet. In fact, Jack Drury, Chris McFarland said, I still consider him a young player. So, Base, we were just asking this question. It's hard to know anything. The mystery man is Vitaly Pinchuk. I really wonder what their vision, because I haven't heard Chris McFarland talk about him in detail. I just wonder what they think his role could be, because that might determine how aggressive they are with trades in the next couple months, or even looking at the role players that might be out there in free agency.
That's the tough thing, I think, especially with Chris coming into a new situation. He is getting to learn all the prospects, and you never know until someone gets to the NHL. I mean, look at Matt Wood this year. We thought, hey, he had a great preseason. He lit up the league. He
got hurt in the preseason.
Yeah. But he was actually leading the NHL, which, whatever, it doesn't really mean anything. But it's a good sign. It can't hurt you. He comes back. He's playing the wing. All of a sudden, they move him to center, and he took off. But nobody probably expected that rise of value for a player like Matt Wood. He was never pinpointed to be a centerman in the NHL. And all of a sudden, it's like, hey, this kid can play center. He's got a hockey IQ. The center position opens up his specific skill set a lot more than playing on the wing. Going down the wing, you have to go down the boards. You have to get physical contact. You don't have as much time with the puck. Steven Stamkos has said the same thing. As he's got older, he's had to move to the wing. But when he plays center, it allows players like that have the vision. Matt Wood is a great playmaker. And so a player like Pinchuk, we don't know yet.
Have you talked to anybody about Pinchuk? Because here's the weird thing about it is we've seen players come over from the KHL, just like maybe a Japanese or a Korean baseball player.
Yeah.
Sometimes those guys come over, they can adjust quick, and they make a really nice impact. Other times, they really struggle making that adjustment to the different rink and the different atmosphere, the lifestyle. All of that is a variable.
That's the X factor with players like that. I think they're getting better at identifying the players that can translate now, because I think it's a little more common. Everybody wants to come. You don't know, this guy doesn't know English, this or that or whatever, which is a major thing, as it is in baseball. But hockey is such a team-oriented thing where the communication, baseball stop, start, static. You hit the ball, pitch the ball. You need the communication with your backers or whatever. But I think hockey's one where you need, a little more element of the communication and the integration into your team aspect of it. So I think now scouts, general managers, and just from talking to these players, do they want to come over here? Some guys, you look at Igor Sirin. He's got another year with his team where he's one of the best players. He's 19 or 20 now. He's a guy that I don't know if he's going to come over and be a centerman in the National Hockey League right away, but this is a player that someone you're really excited about. Pinchuk, I think it's this. You don't quite know all the intangibles, but a lot to, maybe project where this kid could be a player. He's a little older though.
Yes, he's older, a late bloomer. He was never drafted, right, which made him eligible to be signed.
Yes.
And there were a number of teams that were interested, and he chose the Predators.
Opportunity,
and I feel like they must have sold him that you can come here and be somebody that's going to matter, right? You're going to make our roster.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's a guy that they think might make the team. I think he's going to be on the team, which is another reason why I think they were willing to part with Svechkov and LaRue, because those guys are at the stage of their career. They could not be sent to Milwaukee without going through waivers.
Yeah.
And you risk losing one or both of those guys and get nothing.
Exactly.
Like
That's a great point. Great point. And he's a player that I think you can slot in, and he's going to play. They have enough depth, I think, now at center with the acquisitions they got from Colorado to at least fill those spots. Matt Wood, obviously, and you have Ryan O'Reilly, and so if center doesn't work out for him or whatever, you can put him in, and he's going to play on the team, I think, for sure. But I don't know, how does that transfer over?
This is also a big year, I think, Max, for Joachim Kemmel. I mean, there's no, we've been hearing about him for we've seen, you see those flashes where he has an unreal shot, but it didn't translate to a lot of big moments in the regular season last year. But this might be the year where he gets to play a little bit more regularly. Maybe we get a chance to see him showcase what he can do. This is a kind of a make or break year for him, I think.
Yeah, it's time for Kemmel to play. And I think Chris McFarland is going to make it purposeful to clear a path for him to make the team out of training camp, which he did last year. Didn't last long. But this year, Kimmel's got to play. He's got to prove it. And if he doesn't prove it, there's no more attachment to him, with new leadership in the front office. So I think it's time.
He didn't draft him. So to Max's point, he doesn't have the affinities. Like, I know it is. I think he's going to be a player. I think he just needs to do this or that. He's going to see him for what he was. And I think at the end of the year, I think as his call up, you could see him when he first got called up, he was doing all the right things in terms of the defensive side of things, getting in the forecheck. He's got some physical aspect to his game, but you can find those guys. Those guys are replaceable. Kemmel needs to start showing his shot. Take offensive chances, get in those areas, and be a selfish player in that regard. Of hey, he's got one of the best shots. You ask any guy in practice, when you see this, we watch a practice. You see this kid shoot. He's got an elite shot, and I think he started to use that, and you started to see it nearing the end of the season. But I agree with Max. I think he's got to show that now, because it's one thing to have it in practice, but you got to do it in a game. And he's got to take that next step of that confidence, saying, okay, well, I can play in the league. I can hold my own defensively. I can play a fourth line. I can play this role. I can do a third line. But I want to be a second line player. I want to be an offensive threat, which he has the skills to do. But he's got to do it at the NHL level.
We have just had a couple of interesting picks in the 20s of the draft. The Sharks strike again. They move up from 27 to 20 and take defenseman Ryan Lynn from the Vancouver Giants. It had been a while since we saw a defenseman taken, guys. Malte Gustafsson at 13 was the last one, and we get all the way to 21. So that means the Sharks get Keaton Verhoff as the 5th defenseman taken, and then dip back in for Ryan Lynn, the 7th defenseman taken at 21. After that, the Penguins with their first pick at their actual spot of 22. Pretty much every pick has been traded here in the second half of the first round. But the Penguins in their actual spot take the first of the twins, Liam Ruck from the Medicine Hat Tigers. His twin brother Marcus is expected to be taken today or tomorrow as well.
And that's the question is,
are they going together?
Well, and that's what they have said.
You want to do the Sedin thing or what?
That's
Yeah.
what they want. They've always played together.
Yeah.
But as you kind of hinted at, Max, Liam is a better prospect than his brother. So what's his value? How long can you wait? Can you sort of make a deal? There's the Penguins have a pick in the neighborhood where his brother is
39.
Yes. So can they wait to 39, or are somebody going to say, hey, I like the brother. What are you going to give me for pick 35 or whatever it might be? I don't know. That'll be something to watch. But one way or the other, I think the Penguins will end up with the brother too. You would think.
You would think they would try to do. I mean, it's a good story, right?
Yeah.
It's a good story, and he's a good player. So it's not like you're just doing a feel-good pick of, some guy that's just walking on the street with a cup out asking for change. This is you're getting a good player here, so it'll be interesting. And I feel like the Mahaltra pick was kind of that a little bit. That might have been a little higher than they probably.
That's one historically we're going to look back
right?
on 10 years from now and say, did
it's
they
a
make
great,
the right move
it's
or
a
the
great
wrong
story,
move? Yeah.
exactly. But they passed up on a lot of good players, and nothing against Mahaltra, of course. And I played against his father. He's a great player, but a lot of people are saying they probably passed up on a lot of good picks just to get him.
That is all the time we've got tonight on Draft Night in Smashville. We are at pick 23. The Predators are done for the night, it appears, so we are going to sign off Round 2 of the draft is tomorrow. You can watch on NHL Network and ESPN Plus beginning at 10 a.m. Rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 come on the Marathon Saturday from Buffalo. The Predators select winger Wyatt Cullen, 10th overall, son of former Pred Matt Cullen, a pick that we are all pretty happy about here in Smashville. Thanks so much to everybody who came out to our draft party here at the BetMGM Sports Lounge at Bridgestone Arena. Thanks to our on-site engineer, Nick Frazier, the Dr. Crane, putting in a long shift today. Our producer tonight back at the 102.5 The Game World headquarters was Jake Steigelfest. Great job, Jake. Thanks to the Predators for all their hospitality, as always. Thanks to our co-hosts, Willy Daunic, Chris Mason, Pete Weber, JP Dumont, Jay Moore, Bob Cole, and the entire team. My name is Max Herz, signing off. Thanks so much for listening to Preds Hockey. We will be back on Friday at 10 a.m. for the Predators Future Stars game, the prospect scrimmage this Friday, July 3rd at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. We will be on the air at 10 a.m. and the game begins at 10:30, concluding week-long development camp with Wyatt Cullen and the other Preds prospects. They'll be on the ice all week at Centennial Ice Rink, and then Friday they will be out for the scrimmage and the Prospects Future Stars game. This is Draft Night in Smashville. Our final thank you to our sponsors, the UPS Store in Green Hills and Tennessee Brewworks. Wyatt Cullen is your newest Nashville Predator at 10th overall. My name is Max Herz. Thanks for listening to Draft Night in Smashville and Preds Hockey here on 102.5 The Game.